Oh, here's Dolly Safran.
Hi, Dolly.
Here she comes. Should we sing Hello, Dolly, or is that
Yeah, yeah. You start off. I forget the words of Hello, Dolly.
Hello,
Oh,
Dolly?
Dolly.
Well, hello,
Hello,
Dolly.
Dolly.
It's
It's
so
so
nice to
nice.
have. Hey,
Hey.
I can't sing when you're singing like
Oh my
out
God,
of
go ahead,
key
man. I'm just,
and 2 seconds behind me.
doesn't matter. I'm following.
Oh
It's
my
over
gosh.
now. Hello, Dolly.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I am awesome. How are you guys?
We're good. We're
That's
good.
awesome.
We're excited to talk to you and Preston.
You should be jumping in any second now.
Yeah, I'm so glad you jumped on because I know you guys from the last couple of shows you did. You're using the same studio space, so why
Yes.
not?
Why
And
not? That's
us,
right.
and we do primarily Sasquatch, but
Hmm.
uh, we're kind of open to the whole thing. To me, it's the whole thing of like what's going on Earth, what's going on
Exactly.
spiritually.
Well,
So
Right.
they're all connected.
the Sasquatch and the extraterrestrials and whatever Sasquatch are extraterrestrial, and so they're basically they're talking about the same thing
Yes. What
and giving
affects
us
them
and
affects us.
yeah,
What
and they're
affects
giving
us
us the
affects
same
them.
message. Like that's my relationship with them. I've had a connection where they've given me like downloads of spiritual knowledge and like whatever. It's pretty cool. But anyway,
Oh,
like
that's
I
good.
said, it I don't find it any different. It's the same topic basically because they're telling us the same thing.
Yes, exactly. They are.
You
They
know?
all are. We have stuff
Yeah,
going on and we need to pay attention right now. Oh,
yeah.
ow, my knee. Oh,
Unfortunately,
sorry.
most people don't. Like I've got we were just talking, Mr. Beans and I, like this is the pork and beans show. So he's Frank Oliver Beans and I'm Port Cunningham, and at least for the show. And we were just talking, like my YouTube channel. It talks about the spirituality, the connection, and from a really positive, beautiful side of
Mhm.
Sasquatch. And like I put a lot of work into my videos, and sometimes I get like 70 views for a really cool video, like, and but if I was going to be, it almost killed me and go the monster approach, I probably have like 10,000 views, but I'm not willing to do that. So we have to change people's. Hopefully, people will come around to the fact that you
We're
know.
we're on the fringe. Oh my God, I
Yeah, all
didn't
you
know I
can
was
do is
going to
plant
be on the
seeds.
fringe
That's all you
today.
can do. That's
Hey, Preston, how you doing?
Doing well, doing very good. How are you?
Very
Man, you
very
look
well.
sharp as a tack. What is it? A new computer, new router, new everything, man. Fantastic.
Exactly. Yeah, my old computer bit the dust. Well, it's still kicking a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's
What do you guys want to talk about today?
Oh, well, I do have a new book out.
Yeah,
Where is it? It's around here
we,
somewhere.
we could talk about that, your latest stuff or whatever. Oh, cool.
Humans and humanoids
Humanoids in High
and strangers.
Strangeness.
That's
But
cool. Did you already do a radio show on it?
I've done a few, yeah. I'm always doing a show on something. But yeah, happy to talk about whatever. I know Dolly has all kinds of information,
Yeah.
and
Well,
I always,
we go ahead. Yeah, we usually just have a really nice discussion, and like
yeah.
That
obviously
works.
focusing on what you guys want to talk about, but um,
Awesome.
Well, we don't need to dive into it right now because we're still not on. We're not live yet.
no, we're not on the air yet. We've got 5 minutes. Everything looks good though, sound wise and picture wise. So yeah.
Yeah, he's not
So
going to freeze up or
so
dine out.
I just got back from my I have a Sasquatch gathering every year, and it's all free. I just put it on free of charge, and many people can come as well. The Sasquatch actually invite them. They let me know who to come or whatever, and it was just amazing. And
Wow.
got a really neat vocal. Now, normally I don't like recorders or anything, but this person did it, and I didn't know about it, but that's fine. But anyway, did you hear that recording there, Dennett, Preston?
Sorry, that was me. I fixed it. Closed.
Okay.
I'm closing the window.
Oh, did you hear that recording I sent you?
Oh no. Um, I haven't gotten a chance. It's been a busy morning.
Oh, okay. Well,
Trying.
anyway, it's pretty cool. It's 4 or 5 words and it's looped, and it's to me
Wow.
it's obvious that it's a Sasquatch. I mean, because I've heard them before many times, and it's
So
pretty
we got
cool when you.
live Sasquatch voice vocals.
You gonna play
Really?
it
Well,
during the show?
Huh?
Are you
Well,
gonna play it during the show? I'd
well, I
love to
don't
hear
know
it.
if it. I don't know if it'll.
because yeah,
Let's try it before the show goes on. See if we can hear it. Okay,
it's
All right.
want to do
it's
that?
really hard. It was go ahead and give it a shot.
I don't think you're going to be able to
This
hear
is
it.
from Deb Matthews, right? Is that who it was?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think we're going to be able to hear it, to tell you the truth.
You'd have to
Uh,
stick your microphone right next to the speaker.
uh, yeah.
And then you take what with a sound where it says original sound for musicians and turn it on at the top left. Original sound for musicians. That
Hold
means
on.
it pulls the sound off the computer more.
Yeah, it's probably not going to work, but I'll give it a shot. Are you guys able to play video on your show? Maybe you have a better technique than I do, but I haven't found that it's working too good. I mean, the sound wise.
Um, Not really. Not sure that we've actually tried to do that.
Okay.
I think I sent Preston that drawing that Penny Rummel did. But we this so far this year we've had 3 different women who did not know each other who said that they were the genetic mothers to Sasquatch. One of them was a genetic mother to 8 Sasquatch, and she has a drawing of her on a craft. So that's pretty cool. And then the other one of the ladies was told telepathically, and the other lady had a face-to-face encounter with her with the Sasquatch mother and the child in I think that was in California. So that's kind of interesting that the star people and the Sasquatch people are getting together and they have sort of a breeding program to increase the number of human Sasquatch hybrids.
Okay.
I'm trying to pull up that link you sent me, and it doesn't do anything, actually.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I think. Oh, it didn't.
No, it pulled up Facebook, but nothing comes up.
It would be in your
Oh, okay. Oh,
messages.
hold on a second. Let me try it again. I'll send it to you again. I think I sent it the wrong way to you, Dennett. Let me try this. I mean, Preston.
That's all right. I
I got a
apologize.
million things going on. Okay, here we go. Try listening to it now, and I've got it up too, but I don't think we're going to be able to hear it. It's looped, so there's 4 or 5 words that are looped.
All right, let me see. Oh shoot, I had it up and now it's gone. Hold on. Here we are.
Can you hear it?
I'm playing it right now.
Oh, okay.
Um, oh yeah, I can hear it. I'm, I don't think you guys can hear it, but
Send it to me.
I'm going to
um,
try to play it for us. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to get it on or not, but
it's
we're going to
pretty
be a little
quiet.
late going on. I can hear it.
Yeah. Can you hear it when I was playing it?
Yeah, I can hear it right now. Or maybe that's because I've got it on. Hang on a second.
I had it on
Preston,
too,
put it
and I
in.
don't think you guys didn't hear what I.
Preston, send it to me.
All right, hold on. In Messenger, is that okay, Dolly?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Um, Let me see. How would I do this? Forward.
You got the sound for musicians on off there, Brian.
Hang on a second.
What do you mean?
We're
Hang
going
on
to
a
be late.
second.
All right, I
Okay,
just
let me
sent
try.
it to you, Dolly.
Okay.
It's a video. You just click on it, and it's black
Okay, hold on.
mostly, but you can hear it. The vocalizations.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I hear it now. Is that you, Dolly?
I can hear it really, really clear. How come?
Because she's
Because
got it
I'm
right up to her
technically
speaker.
advanced. That's why.
Yeah, that's good.
Can you? Okay, can you see? I've got it on share screen now. So let's see if we can hear it here.
Okay.
Do you have the sound on? Go over to the
Yeah,
sound.
yeah, I do.
No, the one that on the video itself, the little speaker on the video. You got to make sure that's up.
Can you hear it?
Not yet.
Okay, well then we're not going to be able to hear it there. So what are you talking about, Beans?
The video that you got on the screen right now, it has the little speaker sound. You got to click on the speaker to bring the sound up at all. So you just played it for nothing.
Where's that? You know what? We got to get the show started. Forget about it. You guys heard it, right?
You guys heard it, yeah? It's like
I can play it for you when you want me to. They'll hear it.
If you want, if we get to that.
If you guys had a recording of an extraterrestrial, speaking, that would be kind of big news in your world for sure.
Yeah.
A live recording of, Mantid or something.
But there's quite a few recordings of Sasquatch talking.
What do you think that Sasquatch was saying?
I have to. I don't know. I really don't know. I can read their stick writing sometimes, some of the stuff, but their spoken language, I really don't know.
There's a guy named Gene Lettler. There's a guy named Gene Lettler, and he's like a expert sort of a shaman guy, and he's going to try to get it translated from Shawnish or something.
Hang on a minute. Hang on a second. Dolly, what's your last name? I'm putting the show in now.
Safran, Safran.
R-A-N?
Yeah.
Okay.
Safran.
Okay.
Yeah.
Safran.
He was saying Godra Vistina. That's what he was saying.
What was he saying?
That's an actual language. He was saying Godra Vistina. That's an actual language.
On the tape?
Godra Vistina. That's an actual language.
You're talking about the video.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? What does that mean?
Godra means I am, that's his name. He's saying his name. I'm Godra. Okay, he's trying to talk to you in English, but he's mixing the language up a little. Vistina means I don't welcome you. Godra Vistina. He's not welcoming you at that point. He's mad. Did he hang around for long?
I find that really, really hard to believe that he's mad. I mean, this is it. I mean,
did he leave you a present?
It wasn't us. It was a lady. Deb. Yeah, she got a crow that was a lot part of the deal somehow. Well, anyway, this is do our opening there, Mr. Pork Cunningham, Brian Bland.
Okay, everybody. Thanks everybody for coming. And my name is Pork Cunningham, and I am here with the world's handsomest man, my distinguished co-host, Frank Oliver Beans. This is the Pork and Beans Show. We're grateful to have Preston Dennett back again for a return visit, and it's going to be fun. And Dolly Safran is Preston's partner in crime on your new podcast, right?
The Lightgate.
Yep.
Yeah. How many episodes are you in?
22, I think it is.
Yes.
We're still newbies, but we're getting the hang of it.
Very much so.
Yeah, we've been doing this for 4 years now, so we're into like 200 plus episodes, but we haven't gotten any better at it. No, I'm just joking. I think we have actually got a little smoother. So how are you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah, doing pretty good.
On a nice
You are
Saturday.
too.
Yep, yep.
Yep.
So you got a new book out, Preston.
I do, yeah. Humanoids and High Strangeness, as you can see right here. Pretty excited about it. All new, unpublished cases, all involving people who've seen humanoids of different kinds, including Bigfoot, by the way, but all types of humanoids.
Yeah,
Grays, tall whites, I mean, you name it.
well, I think Mr. Beans told me that I think people who are on craft, I think Sasquatch are the seventh most common extraterrestrial seen on craft. I believe.
Yeah,
I've
they're
yet to get a
they're the
case of that.
sixth most.
Wow,
Sixth most.
I've not heard that.
No, that
What
was the
did you?
doctor. That was the Dr. Edgar Mitchell survey on, extra experiencers of extraterrestrial encounters. Yeah, it was a big survey, so it was the numbers are pretty good, and they had MIT do the number crunching. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it makes a lot of sense because I mean I personally witnessed it, and a lot of people have talked about having experiences where they've seen UFO and Sasquatch together.
Absolutely, I have a few of
So
those cases. Yeah,
yeah. So they are definitely extraterrestrial and terrestrial. And one interesting thing is that there was a fellow who was on a ship one time. How people can remember when they're taken on ships. Obviously, you've heard lots of stories of that. So this guy's on the ship, and there's all kinds of different extraterrestrials on there of all different species and whatever. And the fellow sees a Sasquatch walk in, and he says to whoever he's communicating with, he says, "What's that doing on their ship?" And the person he was communicating with said, "That's the most advanced being on their ship." So,
wow.
So they're not Magilla Gorilla, or a forest ape or anything like that.
That was one of our shows, wasn't it? That guy was on one of our shows.
Yeah. Anyway,
three
so
different guys.
so your new book is about different. What is it about?
Each chapter portrays persons who've had a face-to-face encounter with a humanoid of some kind, which includes grays, tall whites, little blue beings, a short hairy dwarf. Could be a baby Bigfoot in that case. I'm not sure.
Wow.
But Bigfoot as well, angels, spirits, really the whole shebang. Human-looking ETs, mantids, many different types of humanoids, as we would call them.
What do you know about mantids? I'm interested because I don't know how to describe this, but I was in reality, and then all of a sudden I was in another place, and I saw myself as a mantis, and there was that knowing with it, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. When you have a download or something, you have that knowing that we all know. It's hard to explain to somebody who hasn't had it, but we know what it is. But I had a knowing that I was that mantis, and I could feel the limbs moving and all that. So, what do you know about the mantis beings? Because I'm fascinated with them. Seeing as I knew when I saw it that it was me. So
They're not from our galaxy. They're from outside our galaxy. They're clean across the universe.
well, yeah.
And they're very old. They're one of the oldest known beings in the universe. And it puts them on top of wisdom, knowledge, all of it, abilities, all of it. And they are, I guess they consider themselves the watchers, much like Sasquatch. They are the watchers. And they are so evolved that they don't really get involved with us except to keep tabs on us. They don't really have anything to do with our physicality or anything like that, like the Greys do, but they do watch over and they monitor what's going on in our galaxy while we're going through what we're going through. And if you see one, people, when you have an idea of what a mantid looks like, a mantis, a praying mantis, you know that it has an exoskeleton. These beings do not have exoskeletons. They are way in advance of that. They do have skin and bone and tenu. They're just shaped like that, like they evolved from it. Like over millennia, they developed a different type of body type, but they're still mantid looking. and they are extremely, extremely good. How do I put this? They're almost light beings. They're that ancient and they're that well developed, and they do stay inside the third dimension. Like I said, they're the watchers, and we have an exodus going on in our galaxy right now. There's a lot going on for us. I mean, you realize in a couple of million years or so, Andromeda is going to slam into us, and nobody's safe. Nobody. And they've known this for a long time, and they're moving humanoids out of the galaxy. And what's going on with us right now is reason for them to be here helping us and doing what they can. But you have to understand that they're moving everybody. There's an electromagnetic current sheet causing our problems right now. And everything in front of us and behind us within this electromagnetic current sheet is demanding their time as well. And they're helping to keep tabs on everybody and what's going on, and they help coordinate things. That's what they are.
Okay. So free will and I wouldn't say interference, but we have free will and it's important for our soul journey or whatever. So how much, with my Sasquatch teachers, they give me teachings, but they don't. But they always keep free will involved in it or whatever. So how how much interference can the ETs? Can they come down and save us, for instance? I think that we have to do it ourselves, but yeah.
Yes, that's exactly right. We caused our own problems. We're responsible for ourselves. And
they might be able to save you from something like a car wreck or something, and that's only if they're already in a relationship with you.
That's not the entirety of humanity, though, right?
No. They might save you from some kind of operation, make sure the operation works a little better. Well, these are really big deals for the individual, but unless you're tuned in, you wouldn't even know that it was happening, because they have the same kind of function as the angels. All the people talk about angels saving them from drowning and angels saving them from a car wreck.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, I've been saved by Sasquatch when I was lost in the woods before, but there's still that free will and that interference rule where, at least on the big scale, we have to grow up ourselves. We're responsible, like you said. And I guess you would concur with that, Preston.
Absolutely. That's certainly what a lot of contactees have been told. But like Michael said, they do intervene. They've healed a lot of people. I've got 300 plus cases. And people have saved from car accidents and falls and drowning and a variety of events that would have caused them great harm. But they do have to follow karmic laws. They use that word, actually, karma, which I found very interesting. And there's been a few contactees I've interviewed who have asked them flat out, why don't you just come down and fix things? And they said, we can't. We are helping those who help others. And you see that if you look at who the contactees are. They're nurses, they're animal rights activists, they're environmentalists, social workers, good people. So yeah, I think that they do intervene to a limited extent, but make it absolutely clear that they can't solve our problems. We have to.
Yeah, all true words. By the way, with my relationship with Sasquatch, I get like energy nudges all the time. Like when people say good stuff that they approve of, and I've just been lit up the whole show so far. So I guess we're on the right track.
Yeah, I've done a bunch of Bigfoot research, and I know of, gosh, there must be at least 20 or 30 cases where they've helped people in amazing ways. There was a kid who was bit by a snake, and Sasquatch scooped him up and carried him back to his camp.
I remember that.
And in fact, in this latest book, Humanoids in High Strangeness, there's a lady who was out camping with her husband and a friend, and they got lost. She's a Navy brat, or a Navy officer, actually, former, and pretty familiar with navigating and stuff. But they got lost up in the wilderness of Southern California. I think it was where was it? Around Julian, in the forests of Southern California, somewhat near San Diego, but could not find their way. And they heard this. Well, I think it was the Sasquatch, because they could hear the footsteps of it. But it led them out to a road. They just followed it because they had no idea where to go. And that would be the first of two encounters she had. the other being much closer. But yeah, she feels like it led them out when they needed it, just like you were talking.
Perfect. Perfect. It's all over. The magic is gone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's really, it's kind of sad that people don't open up their hearts and minds to things, because there's these are great people, and extraterrestrial and Sasquatch that have a message for us, and some of us are receiving it, and once you receive that message, I think you become devoted to working with it. Like, I do nothing but videos. I'm constantly talking to people, connecting with people, always in the woods, and it becomes a passion. But it's not. It's something that you just really put your whole heart into, because it's so important to get these messages out. And what do you think? And what do you think the message is? I mean, the benevolent Sasquatch and the Star Nations people, they seem to have the same message to me. But are there and what do you think that is? And how about are there malevolent ones? They're not all on the same page.
Well, I do feel like their messages, we need to take care of the planet. They're caretakers, they're watchers as well. I think that's the primary message we get. And yeah, some Bigfoot is not someone you want to mess around with. There are many cases where people are basically invading their territory, or perhaps treating the environment in a way that's not respectful. And they will get the message. They'll have rocks thrown right near their head, not hitting them. I don't know really. I mean, there's a few scattered cases of full-on Bigfoot attacks, but it's extremely rare. There are cases of kidnappings as well. So that does occur, and people being, confronted by them in a very hostile way. But overall, I'd say most of them are benevolent. I do think they're absolutely sentient. There's many different types, as you know.
Yeah.
I wrote a book on them, and I was like, wow, every culture has their own names and really their own types of wild men and Bigfoot and Sasquatch and skunk apes, and call them what you will. Yeah. They're all across the planet.
We've always said, though, that some of the interaction, I mean, the same identical interaction that I would experience and somebody else would experience, I would say, hey, wow, my friends are here. And somebody else would say, my God, I just escaped with my life. It was going to kill me. Yeah. And it's just the same thing. And it might just be standing there or whatever. So it's how people interpret, people are going to be naturally scared if they don't know what they're looking at. So they're going to interpret it from that viewpoint, when actually,
with ETs as well. Right. Yeah. Dolly had a really interesting interaction with Bigfoot on a couple of occasions, right?
I used to live in Pine Mountain, Georgia, and I lived in Roosevelt D. State Park. And, we had a very, very bad tornado come through us a few years back. And it was like the finger of God. It went up through Pine Mountain, it went through Manchester, it went up to Warm Springs, and just tore us all up. And it was lots and lots of damage. And but before that happened, we used to have fires in the wintertime, and we'd warm up and get rid of, stuff we didn't want to be on the ground, clutter, whatever. And as we were sitting there one night, I get this feeling that, that fire looks good, and can you not bank it back? Let me have the fire. And I thought, who am I talking to? And it let me know that it lived here, and it's near me, and it would be respect me. That was the mental message I got. I give you ultimate respect. And I thought, okay, I'm either dealing with a Sasquatch, or I'm hearing somebody who's living in the woods and he's cold. So I said, okay, fine. And you got to be advanced to communicate with me psychically. So I left a bunch of oranges and apples and nuts and stuff like that, and just what I thought it would eat would be good for it. And we didn't bank the fire back. We all went to bed. We closed all the blinds, and I prayed really hard. And in the morning, I got up, and the fire was still banking down, but it was respectfully done. The food was gone, and I got a message. I had leaves on one of our stumps. You know, we had stumps for stools, and there were 5 leaves arranged on one, and a beautiful twig in the middle of it, and it was beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, I just got thanked.
Yeah.
And I knew I had a Sasquatch on my hands. And people around where we lived knew that there was one. And the way our property is, it went up to a ridge and then it went straight down into a valley. We were at the very top of Pine Mountain. And my daughter built a little hut out there, a getaway, you know, like a shoe shed for the kids. And we used to go sit out there in the afternoons, and we'd have a tea party or whatever. And then we left it food after that. We would leave offerings for it, you know, here, help you.
That's in North Georgia, right?
Yeah, West Georgia, yeah. It's north of Columbus, Georgia, way
So
north.
it's south of Atlanta?
No, it's west of Atlanta, way west and south, yes.
Okay.
And we're at the very beginning of the Appalachian Trail is right there, okay? And so as time went on, we just knew that we had this visitor, and it lived out there, and it was very happy, and I could hear it crashing through the woods every now and then. When that tornado came through, it wiped the entire valley out. It came right up to our cabin. It took the corner off the cabin next to us, and then demolished one above us a little bit higher up near the gap. And the police, there was no way for anybody to get to us. We were totally isolated at this point. It was that bad. And a cop, a Harris County police officer, walked 4 miles to get up looking to see if we were all alive or dead. And he came up my driveway and he said, do you know what's at the end of your driveway? I said, no. He said, it's a giant piece of concrete with a metal pole in it from one of the schoolyards up here. And he said, if that had hit your cabin, you'd all be dead. And I was like, oh my God, you know? And he said, I need you to help me. And I said, okay, I'm getting ready. And we made backpacks, and we brought food and water and medical supplies with us. But the first thing he said to me before we took off was, you need to pay attention to the trees that are left. And I said, why? And he said, because 40 head of cattle are gone. 40 head. And I was like, oh no, I know where they came from, not far from us. And we went up to the top of the mountain. We were a little bit halfway up there at that point, that elevation. We were at 1,800 feet. We hit 2,000, and the finger of God, it erased the entire valley all the way across and into Warm Springs, Georgia. Dowdell's Knob, which is in Pine Mountain, up at the top of the mountain is where FDR had his barbecue pit, was gone. It threw his statue, which was 2 tons, way down into the other valley near Manchester, threw it. We came back. I was really shaken up. They said it's going to be a while before anybody can get in on us. They're going to work at it, and asked us if we had water and food. Well, we did. And our neighbors up at the top who somehow survived came down to stay with us. And that night, we were all outside, and we were trying to clear the yard up, and we were going to do a barbecue pit fire. And I heard this unbelievable scream I have never heard in my life. It gave me cold chills all the way on my back, and it lasted, I mean, like 38 seconds, 40 seconds long. And I was like, oh my God. It hit me hard. My Sasquatch is out there. That's him screaming. And I cried for a week because I don't know if it lost anybody or anything. It affected me really badly. And that's, I mean, to this day, I still feel bad for this being, you know, really bad. Now I'm a contactee, and I had craft coming in and out of there constantly. Talata prefers me to be away from everybody. And if I'm going with Talata, I knew in my heart that they would come and get him and try to help him. And I was told, yes, they did. So
wow, that's a great end of the story. You know, you and I have a lot in common, Dolly. I lived in Miami, I think, most of the time that you were in Miami.
Really? Where'd you live?
You know where 152nd Street is?
Yes.
That's where the zoo is. I lived on the east side, close to
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I was closer to Old Color on that side. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was
Where
way
were
out
you?
all the way to the Everglades, out Tamiami Trail, Gumbalumba Trail. That's where we were on farmland out there. Yep.
All right. Tamiami. And
Yeah,
what?
my high school was Southwest Miami Senior.
Southwest. All right. I was in Palmetto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
And your family had I think he said that your family had a zoo, right?
Yeah, but that was in Dade City, Florida. We
Right.
had in Dade City, Florida, and I got a Sasquatch story out there too, but it's not really mine. It's somebody else's. I went to a CE5 in Dade City on a farm, and the guy out there, they were all talking about Sasquatch, and it was very hushed tones. They didn't know me well yet. It was my first time with them, and they were talking about how there's an area in Florida. It's near a colony of people who are psychic and stuff out near where there's a lot of water off the East Coast, coming inland, like north of us. And they said that there are Sasquatch out there that are mean as hell. And I was like, what? Why? Why would they be mean as hell? And they said, because they're overhunted out there. And I said, what do you mean overhunted? And this one guy said, yeah, I'm one of those people. And I said, why? And he said, I don't know. I'm trying to prove they exist. And I figured if I got one of them, I could prove it. And now I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, we're doing a CE5. You know what the protocols are. You know that we're supposed to be nonviolent, that we're making contact with intelligent extraterrestrial people. And you have a gun and you're hunting them. And then he went on to tell me that he had one in his freezer in the basement. I was like, no, you don't. He said, yes, I do. And he took me down there and he pulled it open and he showed me a solidly frozen animal that could have been a Sasquatch. I mean, I can't say for sure, but what I looked at, all matted up and everything, yeah, I didn't get to see its face.
That's pretty gruesome.
That's gruesome.
The first time people talk about freezing them.
Wait a minute. Why didn't this guy, if he's got a Sasquatch in his freezer, why didn't that's millions of dollars, isn't it?
Well, I think that there's a law against shooting animals. You don't have a license to shoot in Florida, first of all. And then, to hunt one like that and then freeze it, and that's all wrong. Okay. And then the second problem with this is that he became paranoid after that. He was going to send it to a laboratory, and then he realized that, oh no, he can't tell anybody he has it now. He's in a lot of trouble for this, actually. And I'm like, well, why are you telling me? And he's like, because I wanted you to look at it and tell me, as a contactee, if I saw a Sasquatch. It had been in the freezer over a year. It was already starting to, have an odor. And all I saw was hair and blood. Okay. I didn't see its face. I didn't see a paw, a hand or whatever. Nothing, foot, nothing. It was all rolled up. No. And I said, unless you're willing to turn it over to an authority who would do the right thing. He said, well, they're not. They're going to take it and we'll never see or hear of it again. It was a quandary, a real quandary. And this was like in 2016, early 2017.
Well, I was still Miami then.
Wow.
So did you believe the guy that it was a Sasquatch in the freezer?
I believe that he shot something. I'm not so sure what he shot. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure because for all I know, it could have been an orangutan. It had that kind of hair.
Yeah. People got to understand.
And we did have a monkey jungle out there at the time, but there's still a lot of Sasquatch in Dade County because I had my first Sasquatch encounters in Dade County. Were you living out past Kendall, or were you out past Miller somewhere?
I was more far west of everybody. Like, where the new turnpike goes down through there?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're on Bird Road, past the turnpike, keep going west, and you go out about 7 miles, and that's out where we were. And back in those days, there was nothing. There was really nothing after 124th Avenue, on Bird Road. There was nothing. It was all farmland and stuff, especially out Tamiami Trail. Because at the end of Bird Road, you had to go to Tamiami Trail to go into the Glades anyway. And I lived near the Gumbalumba Trail in the Glades. And it was a farm, a Brahma farm. We had lots of beef out there. We had lots of people who did fruit, like strawberry fields and stuff like that. There was a mangrove out there, stuff, whatever you could farm out there if you were allowed to and not die from the elements. Yep.
Yeah.
So sadly, I went looking, a friend of mine told me that all that land had been built up and it's now built up past, I think it's 158th, 160th Avenue. It goes way, way out there now.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I
You
wonder if
do
I wonder
you
if this guy.
remember?
Hang on a second, Beans. I wonder if this guy looked at this parent Sasquatch and thought this is a human, and that scared him.
maybe, I don't know. I have no clue. I have a question for you because one of the stories in Preston's book talks about an animal that could be a young Sasquatch. Okay, when he read it to me, I sat there and I thought, "Oh my God, this is I've never seen a young one, but my God, they're intelligent as hell. And if they had a family and this Sasquatch decided to befriend somebody, is that possible? Have you ever had situations like that?
Where I made friends with him.
Yeah, young ones, people, interact with them and stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got a relationship with the clan up here. I've had rock throwing contests and played with the juvenile. Like I didn't see him,
Yeah.
but it's definitely him.
Well, Preston, tell him that story because that one's totally freaking cool.
We have a friend, Tom Cantrell. He wrote a bunch of books, and he was actually given permission to watch twins being born.
Yeah.
So that's pretty close connection.
Yeah,
So
there was a lady on Mount Shasta who witnessed a Sasquatch giving birth. And there's a number of cases in the literature where people have seen baby Sasquatch and juvenile Sasquatch of all ages. And in fact, I did interview a witness who was out in the Sierras and said he had a Sasquatch appear in front of him out of invisibility, and then boom, it was there.
Right.
I told him they have this ability to turn invisible. And then the female Sasquatch appeared, and then there were two kids. And he had this long telepathic conversation with them.
Yeah.
Said that they were absolutely intelligent.
Most of the supernatural or paranormal stuff that they can do, I've witnessed, so I could say that it is true. I've seen them materialize out of thin air, maybe 4 or 5 times, and one time right in my room.
That's what I wanted to ask, because that's what happened in this story with this guy in England who was just about, I believe it was 8 years old. This is England, mind you, which is not super well known for Bigfoot. But he had this encounter on his birthday, as it turned out, where he had crept into his father's room because he was waiting for his dad to wake up. It was very early in the morning. His dad was asleep in bed, so he kind of just crawled into bed with his dad and was waiting for him to wake up. And he noticed that the doorknob was moving to the bedroom. Now the door was ajar. It's already open, so he's wondering who is fussing with the doorknob. Why wouldn't they just push the door open? But they didn't. He saw a shadow. It was quite short. And then out steps this, I would say he said, it was underneath the height of the doorknob, so somewhere between 3 and 4 feet. But it was a short, hairy, Bigfoot-looking being. Sharp teeth, small dark eyes, large head, not super large, not overly large, but stared right at him. I mean, they locked gazes, scared the living daylights out of him. Didn't do anything. This figure did not do anything but stand there and look at him. But it frightened him real bad. He knew he wasn't dreaming. He'd never fallen asleep. Its shadow was on the wall. I mean, it was moving the door. And he tried to wake up his dad, but his dad wouldn't wake up. He was too afraid to make too much commotion. So that was part of the problem. But he closed his eyes and hoped it would go away for about 10 or 20 seconds, thinking it's going to be gone, it's going to be gone, go away. Opens his eyes and it's not gone. It's still staring at him. And really, I mean, this was very frightening for him. And finally, it just backs off, closes the door slightly, and it's gone. And he pounces on his dad and, wake up, wake up. And his dad said, you must have had a nightmare. And he's like, no, I never fell asleep. I didn't wake up. I was fully conscious. And it wasn't until, here's the end note to this story, years later, he's like 11 or 12. And he's up in the attic going through some boxes and finds a book on, of course, Bigfoot, and is paging through it and sees a picture of Bigfoot. And he's like, that is very close to what I saw. But it's so
Very
unusual
cool.
because this is inside his house. How did they get
Yeah.
into? But they can do that apparently, because I do know of a few other cases where they've appeared in people's bedrooms.
Oh yeah, they've been in my house a
I
few
have two
times for
stories. I
sure.
have two stories of Sasquatch in England. There's one
You
of them.
do?
Yeah,
All right.
one of them was this is a guy that I was talking to when I was first starting out with the Sasquatch business, and he lived in Manchester. Have you ever been to Manchester?
Never been to
Manchester
England.
is industrial and has no trees on it. It's just this, wherever you look in Manchester, it's just nothing. There was one little clump of trees by the airport. So this guy was a young guy and he liked to go park in this little clump of trees where you could watch the airplanes come in and land and stuff. And Manchester was an international airport. So that's where he met these couple of Sasquatch. And the Sasquatch were really excited because he was just like talking to him and stuff. And so he had this kind of relationship with him. And then you know, he was living with his mother in the second floor of a flat. You know, I mean, it's in England, everybody's got flats, and they're just kind of small apartments, you know, type. Anyway, both these Sasquatch showed up inside his apartment, and they were so big that they had to lean down to stay, even though it was like 8.5, 10-foot ceiling.
Uh-huh.
They had to lean down in order to. And he said, my mother didn't like it. That's all he said when these two 8-foot tall Sasquatch showed up in her house. So that was one story. The other story was just real quick, was this guy was in the northern England, which is just south of Scotland, and he got connected with a Sasquatch there. And then I forget how he actually saw the Sasquatch, whether he went out in the woods or what. But this Sasquatch had leather armor on,
Wow.
and which was something I had never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
And the Sasquatch was like really proud of his armor, and he said that his clan historically fought in wars alongside the humans. So, and he had actually had this leather armor, like they, you know, like the kind of like people would wear, but if they didn't have metal armor, they had leather armor. So that's my two stories of England.
So Dolly, you asked me or you asked us, can we make friends with Sasquatch, or is that what your question was?
No, I was wondering how. To be honest with you, the only Sasquatch I've ever been near is the one in Pine Mountain and the one in that freezer. And I've always been busy doing so many other things that, you know, especially with the zoo. I thought about it. By the way, the zoo is in Dade City, Florida. It's in Pasco County, which is north of Tampa. It's further inland than Tampa. It's northeast of Tampa. It's in like the middle of the state almost. And it's huge. You know where the butter's made? What is that? Lakeland, Florida. They're a little bit more south of us. Yeah.
My dad lived there.
North of there. Yeah, we're north of there. So at the zoo, we had huge security going on. We had to, because they're crazy people. Okay, and we had coon hounds, you know, and for protection, and we had two dogs. My cousin had her own dog, and I had my own dog there. And everything was locked. Every single environment there had a lock on it that nobody could have gotten in without help. And a few times my room we had a house that was over 100 years old. And part of the house had a round turret, like a castle. And I was at the top in a room. So my room was like a parabolic dish. I heard every sound in that zoo every night. This is 50 acres of zoo. Okay. And one night I heard just something like walking around outside the house, and none of the dogs were barking. Nobody was up. Nothing was happening. Not even the lions sounded off. And I'm thinking, what the heck's out there? So I pinched my little levelers apart, and I'm looking down to see if I can see down there what the hell is. And we have lights out there, and between two of the lights is a little dark area. And out of this dark area, this really, really tall dude walked out and across and into we have a huge tree line. And I'm like, what the hell did I just say? And I kept thinking, is it trying to talk to me? Does it want me to come out there? And then I'm thinking, Sorry, I bother you to decline the invitation. I'm not coming out there. And I didn't. I mean, I wasn't thinking I might go meet a being that really wants to talk to me. And I left it alone. And that's the only time I've ever had an invitation like that. Something
Wow.
wanted to talk to me. It wasn't setting anything off or doing anything. And I've sort of just lamented it, over the years. That was a dumb move on my part. I should have gone out there. And, so that's why I asked you, do they make friends with people on purpose? I've never
Oh,
heard
absolutely, absolutely,
of it.
100%. I think that they have
And you're,
people.
and you're being on the show is a little bit of like a, don't forget, remember me, remember us. That's what it is.
I mean, I've always been fascinated with Sasquatch all my life, and then I realized, when I got my call to go to the mountains, it was a telepathic call to go to the mountains. Then everything started unfolding. I realized that they had been with me well before that, because they had put that interest in me. So I believe that they watch you before they contact you, and it can't be even from connections from past lives or that deep and whatever. And yeah, I mean, I trust Sasquatch more than anybody out there. I know people are going to think, what the hell am I talking about? With all the monster stories or whatever. But I feel way more comfortable out in the woods with Sasquatch than people I don't know, or whatever. I would feel far safer. And like I said, they've rescued me, and they've called me family, and they've told me I represent them, and they've sent me this love that is a universal love that is so deep that you just start weeping instantly. And in that love and in that download was all the universal knowledge that I've been unpacking and whatever. And so yes, they're far more advanced than us, and yes, we can make friends with them, and they like people who will. I wouldn't say they're taking advantage of them, but they like people that they can work with that will speak their message. The message of no fear, no division, no judgment, that kind of stuff. All the stuff that takes
respect of the self, respect of Mother Nature.
All those lower vibrational practices that keep us where we are in the mess we're in now. That's not who we truly are, right? So that's their message. That's the Star Nations people message, I think. And so if you're not only can we make friends with Sasquatch, if you are friends with Sasquatch and have a connection with Sasquatch, you're a very fortunate person. I mean, I feel blessed every day. It's just like magic every day. And it's so I'm totally on the opposite side of, like the fear people. That's why I only get 50, 60 views on my videos. Because I'm not.
When I first started investigating Sasquatch, it was a subject I resisted because I had a sneaky suspicion it was real and that it would start picking up a lot of my time and it was opening up a can of worms, and I'd have to become a Sasquatch investigator, which of course did happen because I got my first case. And as soon as I did, I felt this incredible connection to them. And weird coincidences would happen where you would see Sasquatch on TV, or I don't know if that was just because I'm suddenly aware of it or if there's more to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I started getting cases really fast after I got my first one. And that was really surprising to me. And to this day, I feel a connection to them and have had personally 2 encounters, one quite close, where a lady was having contact with Sasquatch, and she had good evidence. She had 2 other witnesses, her son and her roommate. She would talk about how it would scream bloody murder, like a woman screaming, is how she said, when it was out in the wash. She was in telepathic contact with it. She asked me, they don't ever kidnap people, do they? And I said, no, there's no recorded cases, not knowing that I was absolutely wrong on that. There are cases, because I was really new to researching the subject.
There's very few in modern times, but there's a lot in history. I mean, their mitochondrial DNA is human, so it has to be, some kind of connection there.
There's a lot of cases up here with the Chehalis Indians and other Indians where people were taken, but quite often they came back. So the Sasquatch did not hurt them.
No, it's just an introduction in a very unequivocal way.
Yeah.
Yeah, this lady finally invited me up to her house. She said one night she heard this thump on the roof, and on the roof was a giant boulder, too big for, it took 3 guys to get it off her roof. It brought her little gifts and stuff. I mean, it was an extensive case. She's like, I think I know where it lives. She lived on the north side of the Los Angeles National Forest, which is like 500,000 acres, by the way, and a huge wilderness area. And this was right off the 14 freeway near Acton in Southern California. So I go up to her house. I look at the tree branch it broke, the footsteps, talk to the other witnesses. And that night, it was around dusk. She took me to where she thought this thing was hanging out, which was 4, 5, 6 miles from her house down this long dirt road. And there's this very steep escarpment, this sort of mountain and valley. It's like, that's where it lives. I'm looking at it thinking, well, this was not an area you could hike really at all, because the brush was very, very thick. The mountains were extremely steep, 45-degree angles almost. And she says, I'm telling you, it lives somewhere down there. Well, it had just started to get dark. We were pulling out our equipment. We had brought some cameras and sound equipment. So she was actually doing that. I was standing in the front of the car, at the front of the car, sort of surveying the area, when we heard a roar, a very loud roar. And like Dolly, you said, it went on for, 30, 40 seconds. I mean, maybe even a minute. So long that I was like kind of twirling around in place, trying to figure out where it's coming from. I actually looked up thinking this could be a jet or something, but it obviously wasn't, because it was rumbling in your chest. If you've ever heard a lion roar or a bear or a cougar or anything like this, which I have, I lived in a wilderness area and have been to the zoo when a lion roared right next to me. This was different. This was absolutely different from all of those. And then it roared again. And that's when I could pinpoint it, sort of triangulate. It was coming from that ravine there. And it could not have been more than, I'm going to say, 1,000 feet, 300 yards. It felt real close.
Yeah. There's something we had to remember, though. And have you heard people talk about this, that they can throw sound?
I know that they're very vocal, whistling, high-pitched noises. They're very vocal, and language too.
Well, what I mean is that any audible, sensory, or visual experience that they want to put into our field of perception, they can do it. So, for instance, my wife and a bunch of other people have reported being in tents at night, and all of a sudden they hear all this construction and all this major stuff going on right behind their tent. For some reason, they never seem to go out, and it's not because of fear. It's something about they just don't go out. And the next day they get up, and inevitably there's not a blade of grass out of place. So they're getting this audible experience that sounds like it's taking place right outside their tent that does not actually happen.
Oh, maybe that was what it was doing. At any rate, the girl I was with freaked out. She's like, "We're leaving now," because I'm running towards it. I want to see it. She's like, "What are you doing?" Get in the car right now. We're leaving. And I reluctantly did, because she was hysterical.
Well, she just get her in the car.
It was a long walk with no car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first Bigfoot encounter. And the second time was on Mount Hood in Southern California. Really, I mean, it's a wilderness area, but it's right outside of LA. And I was with my brother and his friend, and we had gone past the trail where no one else will go because it's quite treacherous. And it was at an elevation of, I think, 8,000 feet. And there was just no people past that point for whatever reason. And they wanted to go to the top of the peak. And I'm huffing and puffing, and I can't make it. These guys, my brother and his friend they ride 100 miles on their bike every weekend. I had to give up. I'm like, I'm not doing that. And so I stayed behind as they're going up to the peak, which was just a mile or so ahead. And my brother turns around the corner and he's waiting for his friend, and he starts throwing rocks on a tree trunk, going thump, thump, thump. And I'm like, oh gosh, because as I'm sure you know, Bigfoot will kind of do tree knocking. And that's what it sounded like to me. And then sure enough, there was a response way down in the valley on the other side where nobody is. You can't get there. There was someone else going bang, 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 bang. I never told my brother, he's a skeptic, but I did go to the ranger station and found out that there were Bigfoot encounters all up through this area. So yeah, that was both audible encounters. I never saw anything, never smelled anything.
Yeah, that's amazing, because there's been Bigfoot researchers who've gone for 20 years and never heard a wood knock or a vocal. So here you are, just happening along, kind of like, that's amazing, actually.
It's really sad, but honestly, if you go into this with an open heart and you're not and the more you accept, the more they show you too. I mean, you don't want to be naive either, and you don't want to be you have to use discernment. But the more, like I said, the more you accept things, the more they show you. But a person can go in there with the right attitude and respect and whatever, and know more about the Sasquatch within a week, literally, than somebody who's been doing it for 30 years. Who's putting game cams up, and I'm going to catch that damn thing, and and I want to prove it exists, and all these things. They don't want to do. They don't really want to have anything to do with those people. That's
the same thing as the people who are experiencers who've been taken on a craft. I mean, you've been taken on a craft a few times, and you could have somebody who researches all the literature and they got a lot of great facts, but you've been there, done that.
It sounds harsh, but it's true, because it's respect. As a people, if you approach them and say, hello, I'm Brian, and I would like to meet you, and treat them as somebody who's worthy of respect, they're going to reciprocate. And plus they have, they want to contact certain people because, certain people are doing their work. They're working for representing them or whatever. So there's that. But,
I was a weird kid. Growing up in the Everglades, the park rangers, I used to find animals. They'd come to me all the time. I was rescuing everything, and I rescued a Florida panther, and which is a puma, and it was really in mess shape. And my dad said,
hold on a second. I'm sorry. Were they not? I thought that they were not supposed to exist, but they.
Oh yeah, they're still there. They're in Florida.
Oh, they are there.
We used to have a Florida panther that would make noise back in the 70s when I was a kid. And I was down on 152nd Street, which is not the Everglades. It's close to the ocean. And one of those cats would come along once a month or something. Yeah,
exactly.
Maybe I'm thinking of Black Panther. Black Panther, maybe. But
Florida panther. It's a puma, but it's a.
Okay, for sure, yeah.
And so
it's like a cougar.
Like a cougar, same thing. And the reason that they're identified as different is that it's a group that's been there for a very, very long time, and they've genetically identified them as being there, and so they have them separated from everybody else. And so I helped this thing. My dad, we built an enclosure for it in one of the barns and took care of it. But the rangers were coming out to make sure that I was doing it right. And we had a vet coming out as well. And during this escapade, they said, you want to become a park ranger, a student park ranger? And I'm like, can I? And my dad's like, oh God, here we go. And so I did. I joined the STEP program, the student park ranger program. And so I was out there all the time, doing field studies and watching animals and taking counts and stuff like that. That was my life out there. I loved the glades. Okay. I'd get lost out there. I'm not kidding. And I every now and then I felt like there was something keeping an eye on me, but I never did see what was keeping an eye on me. It kept me out of trouble. And, but it just amazed me. I was very careful out there. I almost bit it from quicksand once. That was bad. My mom, VW microbus, and where I parked it to go do to do a walkthrough, and then I came back and the rear tire's in it, and I'm thinking, no, I had my brother with me, and we were trying everything. We got out by the skin of myself, but I love the Everglades, and it dawned on me that there are places, out there that, thinking as an older person or a zoo person, that Sasquatch would love to live out there. There's beautiful freshwater estuaries. There's plenty, food aplenty out there. There's plenty to eat, and they would do really, really well there. And every now and then I would see scratch signs, not from small animals, but from a larger animal that's almost half buried. Okay. And I'm thinking, what would bury its doo-doo like that? Cats will, but they'll do it in sand, not in the dirt high up away from things, like isolated. And I would talk to the rangers about it, and they would just go, shh, we don't talk about that. Well, okay. And then as I got older and I started hearing about Sasquatch, I was like, oh my God, I'm probably all around them my whole life and didn't even know it, So
For psychic, this is why people, don't see them all the time, because they know you're coming. They can read minds. Let's face it, these guys are far more aware than humans, psychically, and probably, with just smelling.
They actually, well, linear time, right, is just an invention of man, right? It's just for a point of reference, right? Well, the Sasquatch don't follow that. So literally, not only do they know what you're going to do or what you're going to do, they know what you're going to think years before you even come up with the idea.
Yeah, thank you for saying that.
They've proven that to me. Like I read some of the glyphs that they leave me, which is a writing, a stick writing, and some of it I can understand or whatever. And I understand maybe 10 or 12 of the symbols, and I can communicate back and forth with them. Well, when I started looking into it and making my videos or whatever, I'm looking at some of my old glyphs, and I'm saying, wait a minute, they already had the things that I just came up with yesterday or a week ago. They're already including it in the glyphs and in the message 5 years before, and it was absolutely a fact. So they, like for instance, the Y stick, which I say is man Sasquatch connected. They were incorporating into glyphs 5 years before I came up with that meaning.
Yeah, the Vikings used the same type of glyphs writing, the stickmans and all that. I want to tell you something. I'm going to stop you for a second.
Hold on a second. Why did you say why did you say you were happy I said that?
I'm telling you now.
Okay.
20 minutes before the show, Claudia's in my head going, tell Preston this now. I'm like, why? Tell him now. And I told him about time and time travel and how everybody here is screwed up over it. They really don't understand it. It's a construct. It's not real. Okay. And explained it to him, and he already understands it. Okay. But I just had to bring it up to him. He just validated it right now. You just brought up the exact same thing and said it's not real. It's our construct. It's not real.
That's the beauty of a relationship with Sasquatch. The things that they teach you, like this is an intense student teacher relationship. Like they don't. I'm not jumping to conclusions on any of this. They hammer home the points with constant lessons and adding on and building on, and it's detailed, and so it really is true. And I'm glad that I could verify that for you.
Over all of this, okay? If you're psychic, you can tap into the universal mind, okay, the all mind. Sasquatch is advanced because their psychic is all get out, and they were developed, highly sentient beings. And so their intelligence is matching what they can get through their psychic abilities. And most people here don't pay attention to that. They don't understand that. You don't have to go to school to learn. All you got to do is ask the universe. It'll literally download you with information because you're psychic and you can hear it. And Sasquatch is very capable of that. That's true.
Yeah. I know what I wanted to ask. Do you think for healing, do you have any healing stories? Denny, you said you did. I've had some experience. Preston, I'm sorry. I've had some experience with that too. I've been healed personally, and I've witnessed it.
Many from ETs. Yeah. I'm not sure I have any actually from Sasquatch, though. Rescues.
No, ETs are good.
Oh yeah,
An ET one's good because you know what? I bet you I'm going to see some similarities between them because they're. Why don't you relate one of your favorites and let's see how it sounds.
And I tell him about Sarah. You tell him about Sarah.
Oh, Sarah. Dolly, that's your case. You could tell it so much better. But here, let me tell another, because this one I think is just super interesting, involving this lady who is having kidney failure. She didn't realize it. She was somewhat ignorant that the fact that she couldn't go to the bathroom was a very serious condition. And after like 3 days of not being able to, relieve herself, she went to the doctor, who said, "You are having kidney failure. You need to go to the emergency room right now. This is very serious." And she's like, "Okay, I will." But went home to alert her family, her friends, her coworkers, and said, "Listen, I'm in real trouble. I'm going to the emergency room. Pray for me." And had just finished making the last call and collapsed in bed and fell asleep. And she's praying to God, "Heal me." And suddenly wakes up, and there are these short little beings around her, sort of brown-skinned, little dwarf-like beings, not grays. And they're massaging her abdomen. And this went on for quite a while. She wasn't really able to move or fully wake up, but did see them. And woke up in the morning and instantly went to the bathroom, felt much better, went to the doctor and said, "Listen, I'm feeling much better. I just went to the restroom. I think I'm okay." And he did a full-on checkup and said, "I don't know what to tell you. I'm sure I didn't misdiagnose you. This is a miracle. What happened?" She says, "I think I was visited by angels." This is what she told everybody because she didn't know what to think. She didn't think this was angels, but she didn't know how to interpret it until about 2 months later. She found herself on board a craft, laying on a table, surrounded by these same beings in a round room. It was clearly a UFO setting. And they said, they placed this instrument on her body, which I've heard many people describe. It's sort of this curved metallic instrument which fits over your torso. And it projects your inner organs in full living color, like a hologram. And they showed her kidneys. They said, "Look, your kidneys are much better. They're doing well." And then they slid it around or adjusted it and showed her liver, which was covered with all these weird discolorations, black spots. They said, "Do you see this? This is unhealthy." She says, "Yes, I see this." They said, "This is because you're drinking way too much Diet Coke. You need to stop." And that was, in essence, her story. But I thought it was super interesting because not only did they heal her, but they gave her medical advice, which does happen in these cases. But yeah, I've got 300 cases of healings, including animals, of horses, dogs, roosters, cats. And Dolly has an amazing story of
most of the Sasquatch healing is done with energy.
That.
Hey, Preston, how many people do you think were probably healed and didn't know it, didn't report it because they don't have a memory of being taken?
Millions.
That's what I'm thinking. It has to be in the millions because almost everybody's story is to get an examination. And if you're getting an examination, it's they're
holding humanity up. They've been doing that. They have to.
Yeah.
Because our magnetosphere has been going down for the last 100 years, and all that gamma radiation is affecting us adversely. And they've been helping us with that to keep us healthy through it.
I think it's in the millions as well, with only these dramatic cases of people happen to be there where they remember and connect and all that kind of stuff. That's actually a small percentage of the people who've been taken or contacted.
What percentage of people that go on crafts or have got healings or are visited, what percentage actually remember? And I'm asking for one reason is because my wife and I experienced something really interesting. And it's interesting because we were brought together by the Sasquatch. They actually told us that we were supposed to be together. The Sasquatch said, you and her have work to, they told me you and her have work to do for me and for us. And so but but anyway, we had these blood drops appearing in our bed, both of us at the same time before we met. These little blood drops that we could never account for, and with little smears that were on our sheets, and no nosebleed. Our partners at the time, because we were both married to other people at the time, there was no accounting for it, but we both had it at exactly the same time. And so I'm thinking I was probably being worked on, and we were both probably being worked on, upgraded or something, but we didn't know what was going on at the time. But then, we both came together. So I'm wondering what percentage of people that are that have these things go on actually remember it, like remember being on craft, or remember being healed, or
Well, I'll give you a number that you need to hear first.
Okay.
ET has seen every human being born on this planet for the last 12,000 years. They have interacted with every last one of us, every one. Your ability to be psychic depends on whether you remember or not. People who are highly developed psychically will remember first, and then others will remember like it's a dream state, and they'll say, God, I had weird dreams this week or last week, and they were so real to me, but they were dreams. So the ones that are psychic are about between 18 and 22% of the population, world population, will remember. That's not real high, but it's a lot of people. Okay, think about those numbers. And then the other percentage of that population who remember in the dream state is 80% of humanity have weird dreams like that. 80%.
Okay.
The ones that don't are the ones that are on drugs and doing terrible things to their minds, so they're polluted or they're very ill, and they don't remember.
All right. You want to hear about a really cool Sasquatch dream that I had?
Okay.
It's really neat. It's really neat. So this is gonna seem wild. I'm not going to tell you the entire story because it's just too detailed. But basically, Sasquatch can shapeshift into anything. It's just whatever the breadth of their imagination. I've seen them in human form, believe it or not. I'm positive. I've seen them as ravens, owls, and stuff of that nature. I forgot my point.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that it's actual shape shifting as much as it is they're able to give your brain what they want you to see. That you're
okay. You know what? That's a possibility. I will not discount that because they can give you any visual, audible, or sensory experience that into your field of perception that they want. So yes, they could. Yeah. But I witnessed them doing that through ravens, people, owls, etc.
Grays do it too. The most common perception is rabbits and owls. Okay, and I didn't think rabbits until Preston convinced me he's got cases with that rabbits in them. Amazingly, that's what you see. My very first memory of a craft coming down looked like an umbrella, and I was like, what is that? It looks like Mary Poppins' umbrella. And I had just seen Mary Poppins and they were working off my memory. And the only reason I wasn't convinced is the handle was missing with the parrot. I was like, I don't think that's an umbrella. And then poof, I was on board. So yeah, they can use your mind. I've learned that over the years. They can use your own mind, your own memories, and get you to see what they want you to see.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't it in your book, Preston? Don't you have a case? What's her name?
That's Susan.
Susan. Yeah.
She saw what she thought were rabbits until they turned around and she realized they were grays. Yeah, she's the one who actually was led out of the wilderness by Bigfoot and had another encounter shortly after that with Bigfoot, where she woke up because she heard something banging around in their campsite and lifted up a bottle or something and walked right up to the tent and pressed its hand on the tent. You could see this enormous hand right through the thin nylon tent. So she reaches out her hand and puts it up against its hand and realizes, oh gosh, this is real. She can smell it, of course, at this point. She screams her head off, waking up her husband and friend who are sleeping in the tent. And they never saw it, never heard it, but she heard it. As soon as she put her hand up against it, it lifted its hand, and in 4 steps, bunk, 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 was gone.
At our camp out last year, we had a lady see a giant rabbit, a giant white rabbit. It was about 4 feet tall.
Wow.
Walk right by her.
Wow.
Except it wasn't
That's
a rabbit.
amazing.
Yeah.
Reminds me of that movie Harvey, the big white rabbit.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
But I've thought that too, Dolly. And I actually, it could be that they could just make us think we're seeing. I mean, they can make us see whatever we want to see, but
Yeah. There's only one being that I know of that can change its physiology, and it's because it's non-corporeal to begin with. There are fifth dimensional beings who are non-corporeal. They're advanced and they live in the fifth dimension, and they can show us in the third dimension themselves. They can look solid as you or I and change right in front of you, but it's light. They're all light. They're light, and they can make themselves into anything they want. And the reason I know this is because Talata, my contact, my craft, is a fifth dimensional being, and he's done it to me multiple times. And literally changed right in front of me. And I'm like, very cool, but he brightens when he does it. I can see an actual shift in the light, and then he changes. You can see it actually occur. And they're the only ones that I know of that can do that. Once you're in a body, your body's kind of subject to the rules of where you're from. We're in the third dimension. We can't all do it. I know. I mean, there's nothing on this planet in this dimension anywhere that can shapeshift other than look or make you think they look different, like cuttlefish or whatever.
But Sasquatch are not nice. They're not third dimension though. But
no.
But I mean, but the thing is though. But what you said, I have considered, and I think it's a very distinct possibility.
Yeah.
Very distinct possibility. As a matter of fact, it's probably more likely. Probably more likely.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Should ask one. Honest to God, I have no problem asking anybody anything at any time. Okay. And if I'm with a being and I've got a question that's burning me up, I will say, what is this? Tell me, explain this to me right now, please. Total, please. And I will get answers. And I've learned a lot about different ethnicities of ETs this way, and it's amazing. So ask them, just bloody ask them outright. I know they've got to be that. If you ask an intelligent question, I guarantee you they're going to give you an answer. Seriously.
Yeah, they always.
And in some cases, they give you the answer before you ask the question.
Exactly.
And then you have to go, oh, that's what that was about.
We got a bunch of questions in the chat room.
Wait a minute, Brian. You just stop being such a hoggy and let me talk. If either one of you, Preston or Dolly, could go to the Pork and Bean Show group on Facebook, and then you can see where our show is live now. If you go under our show, you'll see a post by Kelly Rainbow Butterfly, and she has a quote. She helped write the books of Sasquatch Message to Humanity.
Okay.
And her quote goes like this: if you hold time constant and vary the space, you create a probable reality. This means that you exist in your present location at this time, but also coexist in another location at the same time. If you hold space constant and vary the time, you create a parallel existence that allows you to experience past and future events simultaneously. When you focus your energy on either in consciousness or unconscious state, you create another self living in a reality that you dream of. So in essence, you can live in simultaneously lives within this reality. And this goes back to what you were talking about, how they know, how can they answer things in advance or give you a little indication 5 years before you even have the question. Mm-hmm. So this was sitting there before the show even started. This was sitting there, which is the answering.
Yeah. Now I'm going to give you the rest of what Talata said. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
This is a
Penny Rummel was asking you if you had contact with Talata. So that's one of the questions on our comments.
Okay. So this is what reality is. All right. There are 12 dimensions, 2 below us and 8 or 9, including this one above us. And we are all in the same space at the same time throughout the entire universe. at any given time, you're capable, because we're all connected by light, that we can communicate with anyone at any given time. And it doesn't matter, because we perceive time here, but outside of here, where we really are coming from, source, it's all time to us. We see everything, past, present, and future, all at the same time. What you need to understand about time is that because we're autonomous, the reality that we create for ourselves is a reality, but it's personal, it's ours. It's not anybody else's. Nobody else functions inside that bubble but us, okay? So you're not actually doing anything that affects anybody else, because there's karma. And if you were to adjust karma on that scale, everything would collapse. So it's a personal bubble of reality. Always remember that. You can do anything you want in your own mind, as long as you understand that you can't move outside of it while you're in it. You're in a bubble of reality. So yes, it is another reality on the other side, but it's your personal reality that you created for you. That's the most important thing to understand about reality. The other thing is that we think there's a timeline here, because we're sitting here solid as a rock, gravity heavy, and we feel the tick, 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 because we get bored. Everything is so slow that we invented time to deal with it, okay? We invented counting for that reason too. Outside of this, everything exists simultaneously all at once, all of it. And your consciousness knows this. And
even every past life that you've experienced, you're living
all of it,
simultaneously.
you're all simultaneous, all at the same time. The only reason you're not perceiving it right now is that your psychic ability is not totally connected to your consciousness, which is being projected into this body. We're not projecting out. When you OBE, you don't project out somewhere. You're already out. What you're doing is your projected self is leaving the body temporarily and doing what it wants. That's how that works. So you have to remember, which reality do I want to be in? Do I want to be in the real reality, or do I want to be in one that I create? Be careful with that, because you're slowing down your evolution when you do that. You're slowing down your progress when you do it. Because if you're only listening to yourself, you have nobody for an audience but you. If you listen to the universe, you hear it all. And that's the point that he's trying to make. And I know if Sasquatch could iterate that to you, also say it, he would. You know, they would tell you that. Yeah. That's the way it is. Okay.
I remember what I forgot now. And Beans is going to hate me because he's heard this before, and he hates my story, so he won't enjoy it. But remember, I was telling you about the dream. Did I tell you about a dream?
Well, go ahead and tell us.
Okay. So anyway, I was contemplating if Sasquatch can shapeshift or not. And I was thinking about it because I had an experience with a friend, Kevin Royce, where he absolutely, I had experienced them as people, whether it was they were, or either my idea or your idea. But either way, there was no question. And, but, I try to use discernment, because if you just everything's this, then what do you're not accomplishing anything. You have to use some discernment. So I'm thinking to myself, Sasquatch shape-shifting into humans. I don't know. I was pondering it, and I'm thinking, my practicality is still trying to kick in and said, nah, come on. Even though I knew, for a fact that they had or done what you said. So that night I went to bed with this heavy on my mind, and Preston will like this, because, you're into dreams and astral travel or whatever. So I go to bed, and all of a sudden I see a Sasquatch in my dream, which wasn't really a dream. And what do? I see him walking by me from left to right. And what does he do? Shapeshifts into a human. In my dream. So the Sasquatch came into my dream and gave me an answer.
You are us, we are you, we are all one. Literally,
absolutely.
Our DNA is related to everything. Yeah. You're related to dogs, cats, birds, fish, all of it. Grass, pineapples, literally
rocks,
bananas.
Mountains,
sky. No rocks. No, that's no sky. No, only DNA. If we have DNA, you're related.
Talk about it. I had a 3-hour conversation with a rock. There's no way I could not talk to that rock for 3 hours.
Sky. She said sky. not rock.
No sky.
You said
No
rocks.
sky.
He says DNA. And I said, no, the elements are conscious and they're conscious beings. They just don't have our DNA.
Okay,
No, but
can I
beans.
explain it to
She
you?
said
I want
she
to
said
stop you
sky.
right there. I want to stop you right there. No, rocks have crystals in them, and you can transmit your thoughts into a crystal and broadcast it anywhere you want. The planet is a great receiver for thought, and you're speaking to beings, not the rocks. You got to think about that. Ask next time you have a conversation like that. Say, are you the rock? Or are you a being talking to me using the rock to get to me? And let them answer you. Crystals absorb our transmissions. They absorb our essence. We can
That's not been my experience
resonate
because
with
I was
rock.
sitting on one rock talking to another rock, and I was brought there by two Mexican people who were asked to take me from where I was sleeping into the Midwest somewhere, and that was prompted by the Sasquatch to answer the question of how you could talk to a tree or a bush.
It's
And you could
because
talk to a tree or a bush because you can talk to
it has
anything.
DNA. The tree has DNA. The rock does not.
And planets
All
have
trees have
planets
DNA.
don't have
Rocks do
DNA.
not.
Have
Minerals
DNA.
do not have DNA.
I've had a planet say hello to me too.
Then it was the essence of the planet being filtered through somebody's thoughts on that planet.
It doesn't DNA doesn't create consciousness. Consciousness creates DNA.
Consciousness uses DNA to manifest in the third dimension. That's how we get here. Our DNA, everybody's a DNA.
Yeah, but
codes to
consciousness
have
can
you show
manifest
up.
into anything it wants, including planets, stars.
But you're not
Spirit
sentient or alive. A rock is not alive. It doesn't breathe. It has no DNA, has no life cycle, nothing.
I'm
It's
not
just
saying
a
it's
rock.
alive. All I'm saying is it's a conscious entity. It's a conscious unit. And
No.
and as that, it has memory and intelligence.
No.
You ever heard of intelligence? You know what the intelligence is? That's it. That is the consciousness it takes for an atom to spin around and maintain an atom and the functions of an atom is an intelligent consciousness. Everything is intelligent consciousness.
Everything is light. Everything is light.
Yeah.
You're here. You have to understand that we're all light, and consciousness is light.
Right.
rocks
And
are
that has
light.
no DNA involved in that. It's just light. There's no
DNA
DNA.
is also light. If you break DNA down and you look at it under a
Break
microscope,
anything down, it'll still.
you see that it breaks down into
It turns
protons
into
of
light.
light. Wait, don't
Yeah.
overtalk me, please. DNA breaks down into protons of light. They know that DNA is light. All intelligence is light. A rock is nothing but a base mineral that can come and go. It is the mainframe of
Then
existence.
why did the American Indians say, talk to the rocks, listen
Because
to the
they didn't
trees?
have the ability to know the technology until now. And there are those of us, by the way, who I am a Native American also. I have 50 different Native DNAs in my DNA. I am expressly qualified to speak to you about this. I've been trained in it. I know what I'm talking about. Elements are not alive. They are not sentient. They cannot talk to you. Only light can use that as a transmitter to speak to you. You're not talking to an intelligent rock. You're talking to a being who's using that rock as a transmitter to you. That's all. Because there are crystals in the rock. We transmit from our physical mind via crystals in our brain. It is a transmitter. It is not alive. It is base mainframe in the third dimension. It only exists this way. This is true science. I'm giving you true science here.
Look at Mother Nature, Mother Earth herself talk.
That is, when you're a child, you speak like a child, correct? And you understand as a child. But now it's time to wake up. Now it's time to accept the facts as they really are and to open your eyes and to see. And unless you're using your abilities, you don't see. And that's what they all want you to do now. They want you to stop dreaming. They want you to wake up. Okay? Native Americans.
I'm just saying, Mother Earth does not talk. Is that what you're saying?
She doesn't. No, Gaia is not an entity. That is a myth.
Okay.
Okay. It is a myth.
Okay.
You are a sentient consciousness indwelling a physical body with DNA. And all sentient beings have DNA. All of us. All the way through the universe. You are a template. Your body's a template of exact existence all the way through the universe. You are in the third dimension. You don't belong here. You come here. There's a huge difference. We come here to learn. You're not, this physical existence changes. I'll give you example A. Do you think Gaia, as you believe it, is going to survive very long? No. Every solar system, every galaxy in this existence, in this universe, is going to come crashing, burning, revolve, regenerate itself, go into something else. It constantly changes. It is just the mainframe, like a computer, that holds the DNA life so that we can come into it to exist here to learn. That's all it is.
So
Let me ask you.
You're saying
Go ahead.
consciousness is not fundamental?
It is fundamental. You're exactly correct. Consciousness is us. You are consciousness. You are light inside your head, inside your DNA. You are indwelling a physical
So you're
body.
saying that there is consciousness and non-consciousness.
Correct. Consciousness is all life, and it can do anything. It has abilities that far and excel and exceed this dimension. Like a fifth dimensional being, like Talata, who has no corporeal being anymore, and yet he can do things with light that you could only dream of. That's what I'm saying.
But he has no DNA, right?
Right. He also doesn't need a mainframe. There's no mainframe in the fifth dimension. There are no rocks. There are no planets. Only existence. Pockets of existence. We live in a mainframe that holds our DNA so that we can come here and exist here to learn. That's all the third dimension is. If you understand what each dimension is and how it functions and how many sides there are to it and the mathematics of it, you understand that this dimension is very gravity heavy. You know, the first dimension is the heaviest. You could only be flat in the first dimension. The second dimension, you've got a flat and a wall. Okay. And we know this. We can see it. We can look at it. We perceive it. We understand it with the mind. Okay. In the fourth dimension, they see more than we do. There are way more angles and parts of this in light. The light bends and twists and turns. You can't be in the fourth dimension unless you're psychic enough to get there. Seriously, psychic enough. By the time you make it to the fifth dimension, you've lost all physicality. There's no more physicality in the fifth dimension. It is a huge amount of existence so in the same space that we are, that watches us. It's watching you every day. It's with you. It communicates with you every day. But we here have been told not to use our abilities. We've been told not to listen to reality. And now you can't have direct contact with it when you want to. That's why Sasquatch are here. That's why ETs are here. They're trying to get everybody to wake up from the dream of this that you've been told, which is a lie.
Absolutely. Well, that's true for sure. So I've experienced a little bit of this, and a lot of people have from connections with Sasquatch and ETs, of having their abilities opened up, like they become more psychic or whatever. Some of the abilities that the Sasquatch have, they can pass on to us, and I guess the ETs too. Do you have any stories of that kind of stuff?
Preston has billions of them. All I have is my personal experiences. I'm not. Go for it, Preston.
I mean, that's one of the big goals, like Dolly was saying, of ETs. And I'd say that's the rule rather than the exception. When someone has contact, often they do have a lot of paranormal events going on prior to it, but almost without exception, after it's ramped up to an incredible degree. People experience what I would liken to a spiritual enlightenment and a psychic awakening, which can be incredibly dramatic. And in case after case, and this is kind of a new understanding I've come to after talking to, gosh, I forget her name, but she's a pretty well-known researcher who came back from her experience and started experiencing all this poltergeist-like activity, which causes some people to think, ETs are demonic. No. What they do is they elevate your bioelectric field to a degree that you are experiencing psychokinesis, telekinesis, telepathy, and uncontrolled energy is moving around you to the point where you're knocking out computers. I had a lady who had an encounter, went to work, she knocked out her computer, then the copier machine, and then the fax machine. And people talk about blowing out light bulbs and fuzzing up TVs and radios. This is an after effect of a UFO encounter. I talked to a brother who he and his sister were taken on board, came back and levitated, physically levitated for about 2 hours while they were in their basement, just flying around back and forth.
Wow.
Like, no, this was not an out-of-body experience. This was not an ET pulling them up on a beam of light. When I started researching this, I found a lot of cases. One guy called me from Europe weeping because he says, this happened to me. I've been searching for years for corroboration, confirmation. You've given it to me. I need to thank you. And described how he had that same exact.
So you're saying that they just raise their vibration, electromagnetic, conscious, whatever it is, vibration, and then they were able to levitate and fly around. That's amazing. Because I know I heard the Dolly did that once when she was a little girl. She went up to the top
I
of
did it all the time.
Yeah.
I could do it at will. Yeah. I'm a little bit older now, and I with our magnetosphere going down, I'm inundated with all kinds of weird energy now, and it's really hard for me to keep that level of energy that I need to stay up. But I can still make things bang, boom, pop. I can make cabinets slam. I can turn TVs on and off and stuff like that. I just don't levitate anymore. And if I hit the ground, I'm going to hurt. And if I can't maintain the energy, I don't try. Because what if I get high enough up and then I let go, I'm on the ground. At 65, that's kind of hard. So, yeah.
Just give us a few inches.
Yeah, I can just say.
Oh, God. I don't perform.
No, I'm joking. I'm not making funny. I believe you. I'm not.
No, I know it's a fact. It's a fact, but it's just wonderful. It's wonderful to hear that these paranormal things like apports and bilocation and out-of-body experience, near-death experience, it's just wonderful to hear this great tapestry of human experiences is actually real. And that's what's so great about you and Preston.
Yeah. We all have this ability, all of us. The one thing says, how did you get so lucky? And I look at them and I think, did you not hear what I just said? You have the same equipment I do. You are perfectly capable of doing what I do. Perfectly capable. You're capable of many, many, many things. And you don't need magic. Just open your mind up and go. And all you got to do is try. That's the point.
How did you come to these conclusions, Dolly? I mean, for me, it's been downloads and lessons. How did it work for you?
I'm one of these weird people who family has been followed for eons, and it's in my genetics. I was born psychic. I was born with the ability to do what I did.
Born with a knowing?
It's natural for me, and ET has been raising me alongside my father and mother.
So you knew this stuff naturally? I mean, we all know
I could do it. I could astral project. I could OBE. I could levitate. I levitated first time on my own when I was 2.5. I was playing hide and seek for my mom, and my mom is very good at finding me. And I was looking up in this closet in Miami we were living in. If you know where Westwood Lakes is, before we moved out to the Glades, I lived in Westwood Lakes, right on the lake. Okay. And the closets are weird. They have this big main closet and then these slider closets on the top. And this one was in the hallway. And I'm looking up at it and I know there's nothing in there because I know she couldn't get up there to get in it. And I'm thinking, gosh, if I could just get up, there. And I want up in that closet. I want up in that closet. And the next thing I know, I'm going up to the closet. It felt like it was being shoved. And the door opened and it pushed me in. I pushed myself in. I did it. And I slid the door shut and I laid there laughing my ass off because I knew at 2.5, I just did this. I did it, me. And my mom couldn't find me. She heard me laughing. She became hysterical in the house. She's like, where the hell is this kid? And then I made a move in there, like a doink, a bonk on the side of the inside of it. And she looked up and she went and got the ladder and slid the door open. And there I am grinning at her. She freaked because there was no way for me to get up there. None, 2.5, no way, I drove her insane as I got older because I could levitate. I used to go put footprints on the ceiling in the hallway. I'd get my feet dirty and then levitate up and put my footprints up there. And before my brother got gravely ill at about the age of 7, he had abilities with me, okay? And I taught him I was trying to get him to go up into the tops of trees and jump from tree to tree with me, levitating. Yeah, I got caught doing that too. And I got him up there and we were like wedged in on the top. And my mom walked under us and looked up where we both lost it and damn blammed her hard coming down. It is, it taught me one thing. Okay. You want to know what it taught me? If all parents expected their children to have abilities, their abilities would develop naturally and they would be all doing all of this stuff without any problem. It's like learning to walk. It's like learning to talk. It's like learning how to ride a bike or eat. It is a natural, innate ability that you have. And if you're what's the word, encouraged to do it, you will. But we live in a society, in a world where no bad demons, nay, nay, nay. No, just let your kids be psychic. Let your kids develop naturally. You'll do them and yourself a favor if you do that, because their abilities will help encourage your abilities. We learn to walk because our parents hold their hands out and say, come on, mama. And they're sending you the message, come on, mama. And you know to get up and do it. You're not stupid. You can do it. Learn that yourself. Learn that way. You can do it.
So Preston,
Use a word that I think bears underlining, which is naturally, because people call this sort of ability supernatural. I don't think it is. I think it's absolutely natural. This is something we all experience when we're astral projecting. You can levitate very easily. You can do telepathy, teleportation, telekinesis, clairvoyance. All of it is 100% natural on the other side. And once you start to connect to that, because that's your true home, that's who you truly are, that's where you come from.
Right.
That's where you will absolutely manifest all these natural human abilities. They're not supernatural.
Right.
Yeah. So Preston, you do a lot of you've had a lot of out of body experiences. So where do you go? Is it like, is it the other side? Is it like in the dream state? Where is it that you go when you're in these out of body experiences, or is there different places?
Yeah, well, there is different places. And what I do is you get to a point where you're super relaxed and you feel what they call the vibratory state. And I'm at the point now where I pretty much bypassed that, and you can just lift out. And you find you in your bedroom, and you can explore the house and your neighborhood, visit your friends, go to any place on Earth or beyond in the third dimension. Technically, I'm not sure I would call it the third dimension, because once you're out, it's a higher dimension, but it is identical in most respects to the third dimensional universe as we think of it. That's not where the fun is. So almost every time when I can, I go to what we would term the other side, which has levels and levels and levels to it. But most people, when they pass, they go to what I would call the garden realms, the heavenly realms. I'm not really a religious guy, but that's what it looks like. I mean, it's made of light. It's absolutely beautiful. And that's where you can go to meet your deceased loved ones. So whenever you have someone pass away, that's the first thing I do. I recently...
Oh, wow. So you've actually done that? You've actually gone and met your deceased loved ones in another body? Oh, my God.
Mother, my father, 2 brothers, best friend, several pets.
So, now that you really touched my heart when you said the pets, because I genuinely like animals better than people. I love I'm really looking forward to seeing my pets again. And how was that? How was it seeing your pets? Was it like joyous?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I mean, it's always joyous every time. Every time I pop out of body, I'm like, yay, oh my God, this is happening. It's every single time. It's amazing. But yeah, our dog Maxine, my parents put her down without telling me. It's really upsetting because, we loved this dog. We have, I have 5 brothers and sisters. And they, of course, thought I was crazy. And I'm like, I'm going out of body. Really, I am. And they're like, you're nuts. I'm like, no. I am. Learned how to do this. You should try it. Never could. Finally convinced my brother, Mark, and my sister-in-law to do it. And they did it. I taught them how to do it. But I went to the other side, and my dog, Maxine, came loping up to me. She's a very reserved dog. She was very stately and just sort of this diva of a dog. And if she gave you her paw, that was a big deal. She would not lick you unless, you know, you really worked at it. And she came running up to me, gave me her paw and licked me, and was so excited to see me. And I did that 4 or 5 times. And on the 5th time, she comes running up to me and just bowled me over. I had to do research on this after this happened. She came running up to me and she said, "Hi, Preston." She spoke in English to me. Couldn't believe it, but I did find out that this is a thing. This does happen. I've since experienced it a number of times. Yeah, our pets live on, and they're waiting for us, 100%.
Absolutely. But because I actually had, once again, a dream when one of my dogs passed away. It was one of those real dreams when I was playing with my dog in the, what do they call it, the Rainbow Bridge kind of thing. And I knew when I woke up, just to the way I felt and the relief or whatever, that it was real. So it is, yeah, it's amazing. But so you're saying that we can talk to our pets in English when on the other side?
You can talk to them now. You become psychic and you can have a conversation with your animal. No problem. All animals are psychic. They are as psychic as we are. They all have the same abilities we do. And you can speak to the animals if you want to.
Well, sure they're probably more because they're having contact with the Sasquatch. And this is something all contactees experience almost as a rule, like psychic abilities. They have this incredible connection to the animal kingdom and have all kinds of amazing animal stories.
Yeah. So Preston, we got sidetracked there a little bit, but you were saying you had some amazing, was it healing stories, or you had some, was it the healing stories, or was it, oh, no, sorry. It was the upgrade stories of people being upgraded from relationships with ETs or Sasquatch, upgraded as far as knowledge, abilities, and stuff like that. You want to share some of those?
This is something that a number of researchers have talked about. John Mack, I think, was the first to really use that term, upgraded. But I kept hearing this from witnesses who would tell me, you know, there was this one guy from the Ozarks who wasn't doing that well in school and was just kind of getting along and had this encounter with these human-looking ETs. And he said it was as if a veil had been lifted from his mind. And his intelligence just skyrocketed. He rose to the top of his class, ended up becoming a doctor. And he says, I don't even know how to describe this to you, but I was far more aware than I had been previously, which is very close to what another gentleman, James Santiago, told me, who is an entertainer, a singer. And he had an experience in the Rocky Mountains of Canada where this emerald green UFO was following his car. He wasn't driving, another lady was. But he says, as soon as this thing came over and was sending down this beam of light around them, he says, I've never been that aware in my entire life. He struggled to find the words. I had to kind of laugh because I've heard so many people to say this. But he said he was incredibly clear-headed. And there are cases of people whose IQ has been tested prior to an encounter and after, and it's dramatically improved.
Wow.
Yeah. Absolutely made smarter. Downloads, like you're talking about, certainly, but also physically stronger. There was a case from RD Six Killer Clark involving a bicycle racer who started winning all his races following his encounter. And it goes beyond that. They often people are not necessarily sick, are taken on board and undergo a treatment. This happened to John Hunter Gray. He noticed over 20 physiological improvements. Mind you, he's an adult, he's in midlife. He grew 2 inches, his feet grew in size. He started getting hair that grew twice as fast, his nails, all his scars disappeared, his wrinkles disappeared. He enjoyed excellent health, stopped getting sick, immediately quit smoking. I mean, a bunch of physical improvements. And he wasn't ill at the time. So this is something I do here. They upgrade your health. And I know many contactees who are, you know,
man, that makes me want a med bed.
Why?
They're in their golden years, and
so you watch it happen.
Go to the doctor, and the doctor says, well, you have the lungs of an 18-year-old. Are you sure you're 67? He's like, yeah, I am. So They upgrade people's health for sure.
Wow.
That's
I'm
really
gonna
nice.
show
Well,
you
that's
Sarah.
just beautiful.
I,
Really, it's beautiful.
I'm
you
gonna
know
show
what?
you Sarah. This is
What's that?
oop, hold on. That's Sarah. She's a
Okay.
gibbon. And we got her when she was 4 weeks old at the zoo, her and her brother. They weren't genetically related to one another. She was from a litter and he was from a different. She was a black-faced gibbon and he was a white-faced gibbon. When she was about 7 weeks old, I realized that she was not thriving at all. She was not eating very much. She was getting lethargic, and we started to worry about Sarah. So we took her to the vet, and they did a bunch of tests on her, and they found out that she had leukemia, and that this was a serious situation. My cousin and I freaked out, okay, because we're very attached to her already. It's like they become your babies, they're your child. And we started looking, the vet said, find her siblings, a close sibling. And she had one, and they tested, it was a male, and he matched her. And there's a veterinary school in Auburn, Alabama, that said that they would do the transfer of bone marrow to her to try to save her life. Now, while all this was getting coordinated and going on, just before we were getting ready to leave with her, I freaked out and I needed a day. And I went to New Tampa where my cousin's daughter lived, and I went swimming and hung out. And I had it on my mind all day long, I need help. And I went directly to Talata. I said, Talata, I don't know who you're going to talk to about this. Sarah needs help. Do something. I don't care that she's a gibbon. And when I came out of the house, got in my car, I looked up in the sky because I knew something was there, and there was a craft. And it followed me all the way back to the zoo.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Police car followed me at one point because it saw that I saw it, and it followed me back to the zoo. And when I went in the gates, it was a Sunday. We don't have guests on Sunday, and I blocked myself in. It left him out there looking at it. And I thought, oh my God. I put Sarah in my room that night. She bunked in with me. And when I went to sleep, all I had on my mind was, please let this be it. Please let this be it. Apparently she was taken and worked on. The next morning, she seemed, a little bit better. We got her to drink 4 ounces, which is an incredible amount for her. She was only drinking 2.5. The next day after that, when we were getting ready to leave, she started whooping up and down and, hey, how you doing? My cousin and I noticed this, and she's like, oh my God. We called the vet, took her to the vet. He drew blood. They ran it because, leukemia is a weird disease, okay? Guess what? 100% gone. No more. Gone.
Yeah.
She is still alive to this day. She's huge and beautiful. She's very loving. The only thing that couldn't happen for her, she never ever was able to have her own babies. And she used to adopt other monkeys in the zoo that were orphaned or whatever. It was pretty funny. But yeah, that blew me away. I did not know up until that age that they would absolutely intervene in the life of an animal, and they absolutely did. Absolutely. And I'm trying to find a picture of her older. So, but yeah, that's Sarah. And
would it be? Would it be? Okay, let's see the picture.
I'll get it for you. Keep talking. I'm looking for it.
Would it be too? Simple to say that there's malevolent and benevolent ETs, and can you just break them down like that, or are there some that are kind of neutral?
I'd love to respond to that. Yes, there's malevolent entities out there. Look at humans. I'm not so sure we evolved on this planet. To everyone else, we would be considered extraterrestrial, and we are certainly malevolent. I'm fairly certain there are other people out there very much like us who are in the beginning stages of not only technological, but moral and ethical and spiritual and psychic development.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as those who are visiting our planet, I don't get really what I would call, what you said earlier really rang a bell with me, because two people can have an identical experience and interpret it completely different. One is like, this was horrible, I hated it, they're evil, they're malevolent. And the other is like, well, I really rather enjoyed this. I had a good time. Didn't bother me one bit. And I see that all the time. So if someone is, say, taken on board and physically examined, they might interpret this as malevolent because they were scared out of their minds and don't feel like they asked for this, have no control, and they didn't like it. And they said that was evil. And no, I always caution people, let's take a look at this really objectively at what actually happened to you. Because, yeah, I mean, if you don't like it, I understand. If it's scary, yeah, I'm not going to take that away from you. This is your experience and you can interpret it how you want. But I don't get cases, honest to God, of what I would call absolute sadistic behavior or torture. Like when someone is abducted on this planet by another human, it rarely ends well, rarely. And when it happens to humans, they're almost always returned, often healed, almost always with a huge psychic awakening, a whole new outlook on life. And over again, as they continue to have encounters, they often, in most cases, do come around to this. I'm not going to say every single person has a benevolent encounter because people tell me like, no, I didn't like it. It was bad for me. I feel they're demonic. I'm not going to take that away from them. This is their freedom of choice.
What do you think the benevolent ones are doing when they're working on us up there? What do you think they're doing? Upgrades, health, different reasons?
There's multiple reasons, 4 or 5 main reasons. One is absolutely maintaining health. If you look at the cases objectively, there's a very strong medical theme that runs through onboard experiences. This is one of the main reasons they're pulling people on board, is to maintain their health. But it goes above and beyond that. They will teach you. They take people down to the engine room and say, listen, there are alternative energy sources you're not even aware of. Here's how we power our craft, and explain it in great detail. They will ask you, how is your life going? What do you want to do with your life? You're supposed to be doing this, or you should look into this, or here's the person you're going to marry. This is the house you're going to be living in. This sort of thing. You will be having a child. You're going to get a raise at work. They impart information.
This is common? That they Oh, wow.
Absolutely. Once a
person, they'll show people their future, eh?
Yeah. Yep. This is true for people who get past that fear. And even people who don't, may recall this under hypnosis. But people who get past that fear start having fully conscious encounters and get to the good stuff. Because, fear alters your perception. It makes you a very poor observer. And you're not, also, it screws with your memory. So this is why a lot of people are having
health side effects too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But above and beyond that, they will give you messages, and this is super common. They will give you warnings about nuclear proliferation. They're very much concerned about our use of the material in every capacity, weapons or missiles or power stations or disposal, all of this.
Now, they have been known to go over nuclear facilities and mess with them, like shut them down and whatever, right?
Absolutely. I talked to a first-hand witness who was part of the Malmstrom, Montana case in 1967, which is really well known, where they did shut down our nuclear missiles. He saw it happen.
So do you feel if we get to that
I think
point,
they should fly over to schools and shut down schools.
If we get to that point where they're going to push the button or whatever, do you think they will intervene at that point?
No.
Comment on it. I really wouldn't.
I'm not going to.
Is that?
We're that stupid. We're that stupid.
Yeah.
Well, that goes back to like we're responsible, right?
Yes.
Exactly. Precisely. I think that
they didn't stop the directed energy weapons in Hawaii, and they certainly could have. And we didn't take any response. We're still not taking responsibility for that.
Yeah.
Or for 9/11 or for a lot of things. So.
But here's the way I look at some of that stuff. Some of that stuff that is so outrageous and so out there is actually, we got to thank some of these people in a way for waking us up, because they are so over the top that you have to at one point say, what in the heck is going on? So they're actually doing their part in enlightening us too. Like this is wrong, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're playing their part. The so-called villains, because they're making us well aware of exactly what they're all about.
I'll tell you something. The only beings that come here are benevolent. They have all evolved. They're billions of years our seniors. They are that far in advance of us. And when you're that advanced, malevolence and evil and all of that has been overcome long ago. So there's nobody coming here with ill intent. Human beings are the only ones in this existence right here on this planet that are capable of that. Human ego sometimes throws out their vision of themselves onto other beings, and it's not true. Only ETs are benevolent that come here. If you're that advanced, you are not going to be evil, demonic, any of that. It doesn't exist for them. And that's a hard one to swallow for some people, because their ego wants people to be bad. They're not. And they don't want them to be in advance. They don't want them to feel like they have any say over them here. And that's what's wrong with the government people around here. Those who are in control of us. Their ego is so inflated that they're projecting on ET what is not true and holding them accountable. And that's not true. We need to wake up to that. We need to understand that if you're going to evolve into a very sentient, evolved being, you're going to let go of all the bad stuff, all of it, because your abilities depend on it. You can't be psychic if you're negative. You cannot. They know this too. They figured it out. If I'm going to be angry all the time, my psychic ability is going to go and not work.
That's why we're conditioned with fear, division, separation, and all of that stuff, because it's all lower vibrational things that take us that keep us in this quagmire we're in right now. So who do you and that's what the Sasquatch are here to try to. I mean, I asked them to take my fear away, and it was just like a light switch went on.
Just let it go. Yeah.
And and once that's gone, nobody can touch it, right? So why do you so do you think that there's obviously people and entities or star nations out there that do not want us to wake up? Would you say that?
Well, there's a reason. They have a reason. There's a reason. And if you think about it and you see what's going on in the world right now, you might be able to add it all together in your mind.
I can see that. But I mean, is it just people, or are there malevolent star nations that are assisting them or whatever? Because once we wake up consciously and know who we are, they don't have the power over us anymore.
I don't think a star nation will be malevolent. I think that okay, let's put it this way. If here's two groups of people, 100 people who are positive and not malevolent and loving and all that, and then there's another 100 people that are negative, okay?
Yep.
These people are going to be consciously connected to one another and broadcasting out love, help, whatever. That's why you feel such love from Sasquatch or ETs, okay? Mm-hmm. And then there's this group over here that are hell-bent for leather, but they have something going on that this group doesn't. They're willing to do anything to smite you into no existence on this plane. They want to take you over. And they will begin to do things to you physically to take you out. They will overcome you. And that empowers them to keep upping the level of their malevolence. We're right now, when you're in college, you learn thesis and antithesis. It's a pendulum that swings both ways, okay? And it has momentum. Hate has momentum. Love has momentum as well. But if enough people have lost the ability to project love or hold love in communion with everybody else, that hate is going to swing on it and overtake it. And that's where we are right now. The pendulum is now in antithesis. There are so many people who have heard the evil, heard the malevolence, have been taught to act out, taught to be wrong, taught to be bad, that we're in trouble. We are no longer self-sustaining us as a people. We're no longer cooperating together as a people to engage in evolution of ourselves, to go further and better than we have, to learn more. That's where we're at right now. And people need to wake up to that. That's why they want you to wake up. Because once your psychic ability kicks in, you hear the truth. And that's the first thing that will happen to you. You'll see things and hear things. You go, oh, wait a minute. Oh, now I get it. And then you start broadcasting to others like you who can hear you, and you put your abilities together to broadcast it out. That's why I'm here. That's why others like me are here, and we're talking and we're praying really hard. Y'all hear this and get it, because we're now being overtaken. We are in antithesis, anarchy, and it's crazy, and we got to stop now. That's the message.
But I honestly believe I'm very optimistic though, because you know, we create our reality with every thought and action, and so I'm going to put my energy into a good outcome, and I totally believe that we will overcome this, and we will shift out of this.
We're on a trajectory, just so you know, and lots of is going on around us. Well, and time is of the essence.
But I'm going to be positive, because that's the best work. That's the best I can do, right?
The best way to go, because we live forever anyway. It doesn't matter. You know, we live in the moment, right? You're supposed to live in the moment. You shouldn't live in the past, and don't project yourself into the future, because you got to get through now. Okay. And one of the most important things to remember, and this is what ET's taught me and my father, as a matter of fact, is that for every action, there is an equal or opposite reaction. And it's better to be positive. It's better to be hopeful, because in the moment you're hopeful, miracles occur. And that's what we're looking for. That's what everybody's looking for. We need to keep that going. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No matter what comes, whether we survive it or not, that's what you do. You know?
And when you're on that vibration, miracles happen every day. Like just every day for my wife and I, almost. Well, not every day, but constantly, right? And it's just synchronicity and all that beautiful stuff. But
hey, Preston, I have a question for you. How many you know, mostly in our sort of the Zekite in the world is that the ETs are grays, but I'm pretty sure that there's a lot more than just the grays. I think the grays are there are in everybody's mind because they have this both the breeding program and then they do the health visits. But how many more different types of ETs have you heard about? Because I know there's some really strange ones and all different kinds.
It's a trick question, actually, because what we're dealing with are humanoids. And it's pretty clear, given the fact that there are human-looking ETs, that our relationship to them is much closer, and that we all share a common heritage. This is a message many contactees get. Dolly has gotten this many times. We are you, you are us, we are one. My new book, that of course comes up. Yeah, I get lots of cases of grays. I think after that it would be human-looking, antids, little blue beings, all whites, short little midget-like beings, really what I would call unique humanoids.
Yeah.
8 foot tall humanoid with orange-looking hair. Oh, very cute.
That's me and Sarah.
Yeah, even, you know, in the animal kingdom, we were talking about this earlier, we share DNA. I heard a quote from someone who says, did you know that the human DNA shares 50% of its DNA with a banana? Which made me laugh, but it's true. This speaks to the fact that we are all one. And what we're looking at is really ancestries. We're looking at people who are people like us, very much like us, with variations, the same kinds of variations you see on our planet. If you look at just the people from Earth, going to the little pygmies, to the Maasai warriors, to all the different ethnicities, whether it's Pacific Islander or Caucasian or Asian or what have you, Native American and so forth, there's an incredible variation with every single aspect, from head shape to eyes to nose to mouth to ears, everything. And that's exactly what we see beyond Earth. So I think it's a mistake to call them aliens, honestly, because that's a somewhat divisive word. And even extraterrestrials, I'm okay with that. But I've talked to a lot of contactees who are very much have a close relationship, and they'll just use the word people to an extent that I find it sometimes confusing. they'll tell me, well, the man walked in. I'm like, wait, hold on a second. When you say man, what are you talking about? Oh, the gray. I'm like, oh, okay. Confusing me here. Yeah, we are all one. We share a common heritage.
Yeah.
With a large or wide range of diversity.
Yeah, well, that's what's cool about it. Yeah, it keeps us thinking, right? It just depends on your ecosystem and the environment that you're in. You're gonna have lots of melanin in your skin if you're in if you're in a very sunlit environment that's hot all the time. You're gonna be very pale and need a lot of vitamin D if you're living in the cold north with very little sun. You're gonna have then there are the different hair types, the different nail types, the different everything. And now take this off planet here and go somewhere else with less gravity. Oh, that's going to change things. You know, there's different food supply, different animals, different things. It just depends on the evolution of your DNA as you're going through it. But we're all humanoid, all of us. We all eat, we all sleep, we all have babies, we all go to the bathroom, we all have 2 hands, 2 feet. You know, some of us have tails, some of us are more bird-like, some of us are more cat-like, some of us are more dog-like, but we're all related together and we are humanoid and we communicate. We're sentient. So it makes life interesting.
We have a question from the Pork and Beans group directed to Dolly. Says, Dolly, have you been in contact with, and no, I forgot the name. Somebody lately. Let me just check with where is that now?
T-L-E-R-A. Yeah, Talera.
Yeah, okay, right, okay. So that's the question.
I'm in constant contact with him because I'm a pilot and we are together all the time. When I was on board all the time, my mind sees his mind easier than anybody else in the universe. I'm in constant communication with him. And even though he's very far away from me right now, I'm still able to contact him like he's right here in the room with me. Yes.
I always had experience with many different types of ETs. Let's talk about Anunnaki winged beings. She's seen those. The variation is incredible.
Anunnaki wing beings? That's amazing.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a symbology of floating or something.
No, they live in a world that's got very light gravity and they have bird DNA. We all have bird DNA. I mean, you realize that our embryonic state is exactly identical to a chicken's embryonic state. You can't tell the difference unless you DNA it. We have bird DNA in us, and the Anunnaki have wings, and they're huge, and they fly. In their home world, they fly. Here, it's a little bit harder because we're too gravity tight here, and they're very big. Most Anunnaki are over 8 feet tall, and they probably weigh in excess of 300 pounds. That's a big being with wings. So, yeah.
Wow. Do you feel that there is a battle going on right now for our consciousness, or is that the right way to say it?
No, there's no such thing. That's misinformation. Your consciousness is stronger than you know, and you're coming from a place of source where we're all together and we're not against one another. Here, there's a battle to take you off this planet, out of this existence. That's what you're in a battle for. It has nothing to do with your consciousness. It has to do with just get you out of here. They don't want you here. And that's what's going on. There's a difference. Yeah, your consciousness is indwelling this body, and they would really like for you not to be here, so they'll take your body out. It's not your consciousness. They can't rip your consciousness from you. You are who you are. You're in complete control of it. Nothing can touch that. It's your body they want to go away, period.
So you don't think that, because if we woke up, the gig's up. For a bunch of
kind of woke up at the same time. Oh yeah, it wouldn't be good. Let's put it that way.
Well,
the pendulum would immediately go the other way.
The gig's up for the handlers or whatever you call them. But you don't think that there was a battle going on to keep us dumbed down? You don't.
Oh well, there is a reason for that. You really want to hear the whole truth of this? I'll tell you if you want to know. I speak about it in the book, and I kind of keep it out of my conversations because there's a lot to learn about ET and what's really going on, and to add in that which we're facing is really hard to take for some people. But basically, our Earth is going through a change. We have an electromagnetic current sheet slicing through our galaxy, and it's slicing through our solar system right now. It has changed our sun's polarity and the polarity of every single planet in our system. The poles are now all shifting. For the planets in our system have already shifted. We're in the condition of changing it. And Saturn, us and Saturn, it's going to be interesting to see who makes it out first. As our poles excursion away, here's the North Pole, here's the South Pole. I'm going to give you a quick understanding. This is north and this is south. This is positive and this is negative. And in the core of the Earth is both. And it shoots out these magnetic field lines that envelope our planet and protect us from incoming gamma radiation. It pushes it away from us. Our poles are the caps of that. And because the ball has been ignited inside our core to change, in other words, we're going yin and yang, we're changing. This side is switching with this side, our poles are flipping. And those electromagnetic field lines are now going crazy. They're all over the place. This is crazy, okay? This is bad because our sun has a cycle. It's a 12,000-year cycle with this condition that we're going through with the electromagnetic current sheet coming in. And our sun is now at solar maximum, and we are now having CMEs, which are normal for us, but now that our magnetosphere is not protecting us properly, they're coming in harder on us, and they're affecting our weather, the crust of our planet, the heat of our planet, everything. More storms, more earthquakes, our crust is breaking loose. We don't revolve 24 hours anymore. We're just under 24 hours. So we're speeding up because our mantle is breaking loose. During this process, one of those CMEs, and we already had the shot across our bow in 1859. The Carrington event was the warning. It shut down every single telegraph worldwide, burned them to the ground. This is nothing compared to what will happen to us now, because now we're 40% down. It was only 15% then. An X-class CME to the 7th, 8th, or 9th power is going to level us back to the Stone Age. It's going to down our grid 10 miles deep into the core of our planet, and we'll be done. This is not good. Now, the powers that are on this earth that are in control of us and own everything know this. They've known it since the Carrington event. Guess what? 8.4 billion people on this planet are too many people. Only 1% can survive what's going to happen when we go back to the Stone Age. And they don't want us here because they want to survive it. And we're going to be on our own and or gone before that happens. And they're absolutely implementing that now. Look at history. Look at what's happening to us in the last 50 years. Look at your life. Critically take a look at how we live. All the states, all the countries on this planet are in anarchy right now. And we're all falling fast. And it's due to governments in a refusal to take care of its own people. They are going to annihilate as many as they can. There's going to be a false flag. They're going to make sure you believe ET is doing it. How they're doing that is they've back engineered enough down ET craft from crashing because our magnetosphere is so messed up, it's not knocked them out of the air. And by the way, just so you know, ET's been gone for the last year and a half, 2 years. They are no longer here. They bummed out. They had to. It was too dangerous. They know they're gone, and they know they have a short window of opportunity to do what they want to do. The 1% are going to survive, and the rest of us are fodder for them. They don't want you to have guns. They don't want you to have food. They don't want you to have any resources, nothing. Think about it. Watch what's happening. I mean, you got to add it all up in your head. Diseases, famine, war, it's all going to happen rapidly. It already is. It's already out of control, and it's already changing, and you need to pay attention. We should have been working together. This is why ET is kind of disappointed in us. We should have been working for the last 100 years to help each other survive this. We would have been off this planet already. ET would have taken us all out of here all at the same time, but they can't touch us because they have made sure that we need to either fight them, wake up, and survive it so that ET can come back after the poles finish excursioning, or we're done. That's what's going on. And if you don't believe me, I'm sorry, but there are ways to find out the truth. What I say about the scientific, about the solar system and all of that. Suspicious Observers. Ben Davidson is a physicist. He's got a channel, Suspicious Observers, on YouTube. Pull the playlist out and watch it. You need to. It will educate you very rapidly. I can't do it in 5 minutes. He has the whole playlist out there for you to understand. Remember that we're all one people. It doesn't matter what color we are or who we are or why we are. We are Homo sapiens sapiens. We're all brothers and sisters under, we're human and together. And yet look at how we treat each other. It's got to stop. Okay. Wake up. Wake up. Hear it, see it, prepare for what's coming at you. Because one way or another, what's going to happen is already set in motion. It's coming. And you can either pay attention to it and deal with it, or you can stay obliterated from it and just, whatever happens to you, happens to you. And my personal motto, and a couple of people think it's funny that I say this, don't die stupid, okay? Die sentient, die aware if you're going to physically leave here and go on to something else. And if you can make it, if you can survive it, and I'm looking at two survivalists right here. If you play with Sasquatch, you can survive in the wild. Can you not?
Yeah.
If the grid goes down, you can survive, right?
I think that my Sasquatch people would help me.
Yes, they would. And that's probably why they're still here. Okay. They're looking out for those who are going to go try to help themselves.
And they just gave me a big confirmation too. Energy kind of thing. Yeah. So, but I don't think it's inevitable. You think it's inevitable?
It is already happening. It is happening. We will be at war in less than 6 months. It's already, you realize an F-16 shot down a Russian carrier. And guess who it was? It wasn't us. Guess who it was? And that's serious stuff. And everybody, all the political arena is set so that you pay attention to what they're telling you to pay attention to, and not to the fact that Hawaii, Maui nearly burned down and only certain people went down. The elite, 1% elite are still sitting there pretty, aren't they? We have no cows in development, no bulls in development. Most of our milk sources are now gone. Okay. They stopped making mother's milk, formula for people. Hell, you go to the grocery store, you can't even buy it on an aisle. You have to go to the front and get it. And they got a key on it. Most of the food in your store, if you pay attention, is gone. We have supply chain problems. You can't even build a house in 3 months anymore because you can't get the materials to do it. Most of our companies are gone. They're out of here. China owns almost, the list is unbelievably long what China owns of us. They own our property. We have people and corporations like, what's his face, buying up all the farmland. I have farmers in my family, and they're all being told, no more, that's it. Guess where all the nitrates are that supply the farmers in this country to fertilize their soil? Just guess. Where's the war going on right now with Russia? There.
Yeah.
Okay. This is not funny. If you pay attention, if you watch the news and look for the real news, you'll know that every processing plant in this country is probably down. They have deliberately polluted rivers, mowed things down. They've anodized cities to the point where they're gangbangers. They've allowed, we're going down. Please pay attention.
So what to do? What can you do?
Have enough food for a year. Make sure that you can take care of yourself and get the hell out of the city. Go into the country and go live off the grid. Go back to the old ways. That's what you do. Get away from them. Hide. It's the only way you're going to survive it. Then once the
grow potato.
Once the poles change and ET can fly our magnetospheres again, they will be back and we will land every place on this planet you can imagine. You'll see them everywhere. They will land and they will open the doors and they'll say, get on now. Because that's not all that's happening to us. After that CME, after the grid goes down, we have a micronova right behind it within 8 years. And that will destroy our life on this planet, all of it. It has happened every 14,000 years in the Earth's existence for the last 286 billion years. And you got to understand that this is it. One way or the other, you're leaving here. Take your choice. Either go trying to make it to ET so ET can get you off here and take you to safety, or just leave,
Well, what about going into the bush, like you said?
Yeah, if you go in the bush and you keep yourself alive, ET will pick you up when it's time. They will show up. And they have done this before. I know they have. I've been taught this. They will pick us up.
Yeah.
Well, not to worry so doom and gloom, because there is no such thing as death. There's other planets you could go to.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
You can hang out, right, and your evolution can keep on going.
Yeah, you don't have to stay here. You can just move on.
When you go to out-of-body experience, don't they have these like libraries you can go to?
Yeah, it's called the Akashic Library. Yes. Yeah.
So,
Move on.
you move on.
Yeah,
but
but do
I
it
got
with
a lot of hope
knowledge. Don't do it with
for
fear
planet
and
Earth.
anger and less hope. Like you said, hope is important. The hope of your existence lies in what you know and understand. That's the only thing you're taking from here when you leave anyway.
So this question is for either Preston or Dolly. So when you say off planet, are you talking about another dimension or an actual physical place? Where are we going to be taken if we're taken?
Other planets in either this galaxy or outside this galaxy, and most likely it'll be outside this galaxy, and to safety. And you're going when you leave, you're not coming back. Maybe iterations of your children's children, but Earth isn't going to be here for much longer anyway. Or like I said, Andromeda's coming, and the physics of that is they don't tell you the truth. The closer two galactic bodies get to one another, their gravity draws them in exponentially faster and faster and faster. We're already touching plasma with each other. That we're already fingering each other, and it's not millions of years. It's imminent. Like 30,000, 38,000 years, we're going to crash. And then all life in this galaxy will be destroyed, all of it, and redone.
Well, what were you going to say, Preston?
Yeah, this is a message that a lot of contactees are getting. I've heard this in many different forms. It can be a direct message from the ETs, or dreams that they get, or feelings or intuitions, or being shown this, that at one point, the sky will fill with ships and they're going to come down, and many contactees feel like it's their job to let people know that this is okay, this is a rescue, and to help people get on board. And yeah, I know this sounds scary to some people, but let's face it, life on Earth has never been easy. We've been enslaved, practically speaking, for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So this is good news. I'm super excited about it, because life as we are living it now, particularly now, is not sustainable. We're polluting our rivers. We're destroying our forests. The air has become poisonous to breathe. We cannot go on this way. We're at a point now where we have the ability to completely destroy all life on this planet in a matter of moments. This is not acceptable. We cannot live this way any longer. And so that's why I feel like this is ultimately good news. Because like you said, we are immortal beings. And it's very important that people just move past fear. No matter what happens, yeah, it might be difficult. You might experience some hardship. We always do on this planet. It's a tough learning system for sure.
Think of how many times you've been boofed, broken, and split on this planet. I don't think there are very many people who've gone through life without hurting something or been in some extreme situation. Okay, that's training for existence, period, how to handle it, how to respond. This is nothing compared, to the things we've all experienced already.
I've heard this before, obviously, but I've also heard, and hopefully it's true, because that like the people that they are contacting, like the Sasquatch and the ETs, that we will be okay somehow. And
well, that you are, if you survive it, you will be. They'll take you out of here and put you in someplace that's really okay, and you'll be given every opportunity to go and keep on evolving and keep on being who you are for now and learn. Okay, you're not going to be forsaken at all.
But is it only the people who are awakened to? Or, I mean, they're not going to be taking.
You don't have to be awake to survive. This
they're not going to take Bill Gates, in other words.
No. No. Nada. Me.
And he's one of the guys who probably, when you say the elite or the 1% or whatever, he's one of the guys who knows, obviously, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Musk knows, Bill Gates knows, Obama knows, Biden knows, the Chinese know. They have 1% of all those people are the ones they're banking on staying, and they've lied to everybody else about it. They got people working for them that they've said, oh, yeah, you're good. We'll protect you and take care of you. And it's not going to happen.
So. And then they got the angels singing, all you need is love, love, love is all you need.
I thought that was the Beatles, wasn't it?
That was the angels.
That was the Beatles.
They channeled the angels, but there was the angels.
When I was a kid, I thought the Beatles were angels. I thought these guys are from
Did you really?
well,
Cool.
no, I thought they were from outer space because I was like 10 when they came out in 64, and I thought these guys these guys are otherworldly. There's something.
Well, you know, they could have been
Yeah,
listening.
the thing
They
is
were
how,
waking up.
like when Dolly was saying,
right?
how
Yeah.
you leave. You need to be able to leave intact and not all frazzled and full of fear
Use your
and
mind. That's right.
regret and guilt and shame and blame. You don't need that. I mean, because you know your reality. Keep your reality tunnel. We were talking about your reality tunnel as your reality, and my reality right now is pretty nice. You know what I mean? So
If you want to enjoy, well, the other message is, you know, you can't stop living and learning while all this is going on. You still have to figure out how to exist on top of it. And the best way to do that, and as far as anybody is concerned, ET wise, is just enjoy, be happy. You know,
yeah.
this is not that bad of a thing. We'll get through it one way or the other, and just be happy. Breathe every day. See sun every day. See happiness every day. Love your children. Love your families. Love your loved ones. I mean, love is the answer. Period. The end. And the Beatles were right about that. They were.
Love the earth and the sky and the sun. It's all good.
We're here to enjoy ourselves, not be miserable, misbegotten wretches. And they would just love to see that keep happening to us. So deny them, you know, just deny it. You can't have me today. You can't have fear for me today. You can't have me doing your bidding today. I'm me and I'm fine. Go away.
It's really a position of strength and feels so freeing when you don't have the fear. When when I got the download and knew I was an infinite being, then what do you have to fear? You know, like it's yeah, so I'm really strong in my resolve. They can go, I'm not scared of them at all, man. I'd look them right in the face.
That's right.
I'm not backing down.
Fear nothing. You know,
I'm 73 years old, right? So I'm at the most maybe I got is 20 or 30
How did you stay so
left.
handsome for 73?
But the thing is, my death is inevitable. But but living is not inevitable. You have to live. You have to actually say you want to live. Is this the best day ever, or is this just oh my God, I'm scared of this and scared of that. This fear mongering is just getting old news for me. It's sort of like, who wants to hear about, and I'm not saying to deny reality because the Twin Towers burned down and over there people in the Paradise, California burned down, and this war, all this kind of crap's going on. Yeah, but life's still good. Life is really good. And protest is good, protest and speak out and let everybody know that there's more going on than what they think there is.
Talata made me write something down. When Preston was writing the book, he said, get a pen and paper, you're going to write down what I say. And I'm like, okay. And he said, this has to be word for word. And I said, okay. And this is what he said. This is a message. And it's at the beginning. Is
it Talala?
Talata. I say Talata.
Who is Talata?
He is a fifth dimensional non-corporeal being who indwells the craft that I fly. He is the craft. All craft for ET are alive. They're living. Okay.
I've heard that.
They're not made out of metal, right? They're not made
No, it's alive. Okay, so so it's called Be Strong in Love. Love is what carries through. Love is what heals. Love is the strength of life. Love has no limit. Therefore, let love become who you are. Let love evolve to its fruition. Let the light that is love burn bright. Let its wisdom guide you to higher understanding, and let its power move you to teach its power to others. Love, be strong in love. That's his message to humanity. Period.
Beautiful message. Yeah, love is the core of everything.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's amazing how similar, or not similar, exactly the same, the Sasquatch and the ET messages are. Is about love and we're all one, all connected. No fear, all that kind of stuff, and it's amazing in this pivotal time how we're all, how so many people are being contacted like that. And it seems to me like it's regular everyday life, but then I realize that when I go out and talk to other people, it's just like it's still like like Twilight Zone stuff to them, like stuff that's every day, like living for me is just like you forget, you forget, like
right.
you forget what
And we're all the same. We all have days. I mean, I'm just like everybody else here. I'm human, okay? I'm hybrid human, but I'm human, and I still have frustrations. I still have moments where I get, and jumpy and irritated and stuff like that. And I have to remind myself all the time, calm down, keep it cool. You're fine. You're not. What's going to happen to you right in this second? Nothing. Move on. And so I have to tell myself this every day. It's not an easy condition to be in. We're being bombarded with negativity, whether you see it or not. And so you just keep trying every day. Heal yourself so that you can be available for everybody else. That's all you can do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, guys, I hate to do this to you. I had surgery 7 days ago on my knee, and it is killing me now. I'm sitting down and it's all bent around, and I gotta take a break. So
that's fine.
So glad you could give us some of your time. Oh, by the way, do you remember the Miami Serpentarium? Did you ever go there?
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, they used to provide venom to Baptist Hospital all the time. Well, all the hospitals, Miami, Mercy, all of them, Jackson. Yes.
That's my family. Bill Haas was my
You
brother.
saved my life. Did you know that? I was bit by a rattlesnake when I was 8 years old. I was out in the glades, and I stupidly didn't bring a stick, and I sat down on a rock, didn't look down, and a freaking rattlesnake bit me on my finger right here. And I mean, it's too fuzzy, you can't see, but I got a giant hole in my finger right there. My hand was swelled up so bad by the time I got home, and I walked home easy. I took my penknife and I cut a hole in my finger and let myself bleed out. My mother saw me coming up the road and went, oh my God. She got an ice bag. She wrapped me in it, ran me to Baptist Hospital. By that time, they had to put leeches on me. The venom, the anti-venom came from you guys. That's right.
That was one of the things that Dr. Haas, Mr. Haas did, was he was the instigator, or he gave the template of how every hospital should have anti-venom for the basic North American states.
I never ever got to say thank you. You just gave me the opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, he's passed now, but my sister, she's still around. So yeah.
I was in the hospital many days for that. Yeah.
Well, again, oh man, I can tell you some stories about that. He used to. I won't even go into it, but to have a king cobra up to your waist in a closet is just too much, man. That's what he used to do all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I could not.
We had that was a roadside attraction, and your family had a roadside attraction, which is a giant zoo. Yeah. So
we were on 50 acres, and we were on a road, but it was a back road, and it wasn't on the mainstay at all. And we were licensed and everything. I mean, we had a real zoo. We even had a gift shop that was outside of the zoo in town in Dade City, Florida. And the only reason we're not here right now is because of COVID. It shut us down big time. PETA was already barking up us in another zoo in Texas, and we were in the process of fighting them, and they were playing dirty. And then when COVID hit, we all went, that's it. And we found homes for everybody. A lot of our animals went to the Miami Zoo as a result of that. And our tigers, we dispersed for breeding purposes because we work with World Wildlife Fund to other sanctuaries. So.
Did you want to leave us with a message for people?
The message for humanity.
The message for humanity.
And I'll ask the same with Preston and his favorite Sasquatch story ever.
Remember that we are all children together. We are all related to one another throughout the universe. And we should remember that the only thing that will keep us alive and together, or even going through anything at all on this planet or elsewhere, is love, and the realization that we're here to help one another, not hinder. And you go, Preston.
Yeah, I would underline that it's time for us to move past fear and live with joy, love, and compassion, and look to ourselves for answers, not the government, certainly. They're lying.
Yeah. Or outside or invisible deities, shuffling the responsibility off to some, you know, God. And, you know, and
Yeah,
Yeah, we're all a part of this universe.
right.
no,
Exactly.
Ourselves have all the
but
power of the universe within us.
but I mean, we're all expressions of God expressing himself, I think.
Well, we are. ET believes that ET's observation of God or understanding of God is they call it the all mind, and we're
Yeah.
in that mind together. We're integral parts of it, and we have been given the ability to be autonomous within that construct of his mind. And so, but we can still communicate with him. We can still, or her, or it, or whatever. We can all communicate together. We should be working together, not against each other. You know.
Yeah.
That's important.
But we have everything inside of us. And isn't it kind of like, like I said, shuffling off responsibility by saying, oh, I don't have to worry about it. I'll just ask.
Exactly.
I'd
You're
ask
not
God to
doing
forgive
anything for
me.
anybody.
You're not doing anything.
No, you're not doing
You're
anything.
you're not working
yourself.
on yourself.
Right, right. It's the idea is to heal yourself, work on your karma. In other words, know all that is knowable and then proceed. That is God's, literally the mind of God saying that straight to us. That was taught to me as a very young child. Know all that is knowable and then proceed. There's a lot in that statement. You have to take it apart and really think about it. It doesn't mean sit on your ass every day. It means know all that is knowable. That's work.
I've always thought that if Jesus could talk today, he'd say, I didn't say that stuff. I didn't say half of that stuff you're talking about. You know, for instance, that hell, I think that's just fear. That's just all about fear and control.
It's what you do to yourself, right? You put yourself there, nobody else.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You gotta work your way out of it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you have to go?
Yes, I'm dying. My knee is so bad. I got to go stretch it back out, elevate it.
Well,
I'm gonna put ice on it.
Take a hot bath.
No, I got stitches still. My stitches haven't come out. I don't get them out for another couple days.
I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
My meniscus, my ACL had no cartilage, and I was bone on bone, and had arthritis in it. I had to get it reworked. Totally.
Well, we'll have to have you on again, and if you ever want to discuss Sasquatch,
sure.
you know, in detail.
Yes. Yeah,
because I mean,
we're looking for them up here. Okay, in the Blue Ridge Mountains, we got a Sasquatch museum near us. Oh my God, we love it, and we put billions of fruit trees in our yard. And I'm even going to grow tobacco. I'm not kidding you. I got the seeds for next year. Yeah. I'm going to sit on my porch every day and say, "Hey, how you doing? You know, love you. You got a safe haven. I offer a safe haven. That's what I'm going to do."
That's exactly how you do it.
You know, one of the girls there was, besides Penny Rummel, one of the girls who has a Sasquatch offspring from her DNA. She was a hybrid program. She lives in North Florida, North Georgia. So
oh wow,
probably within 5-hour drive. You know, I say 5-hour drive because anywhere you got to go around Atlanta, it's 3 hours right there.
Yeah.
So
yeah. This is true. Yeah. You just don't go somewhere from up here. You do not. These mountains are big, and you have to go around the mountains to get out anywhere. So it's amazing.
Yeah. So we'll get together again, Dolly, and discuss Sasquatch, because I have a lot to share with you, and that'd be pretty cool.
Okay.
So thank you for coming, and Preston, can you stick around for 5 minutes?
Sure.
Okay. All right. I'm out of here. Namaste, everybody. I love you. Bye.
I love you.
Thanks for showing up.
So what's your all-time favorite Sasquatch story you heard from?
Gosh, well, that's a tough choice, but you do come to mind. In terms of what I personally investigated, I would say my favorite is probably the first one I really ran across, involving a gentleman, a radiologist by the name of Robert Murphy, who lived in Canyon Country outside of LA, which I didn't know it when I was interviewing him, but I found out afterwards when I started investigating his case. That is Bigfoot country. There's a lot of cases, and there are dozens of them. His house in Canyon Country was a very rural area which bordered again on the LA National Forest, huge wilderness area. And he was, this is around 1978, was in his home when a UFO landed in the backyard.
That's always nice.
Yeah, and he's amazed. He's slightly nearsighted. He could really only see these blue and white lights flashing right there on the ground. Couldn't be a building. There's nothing there. Ran to get his glasses. By the time he returned, it was gone. It was the very next day that a Bigfoot showed up. He connects it to this UFO because there's just no way you can have two that unusual experiences that close together. And it was in the same exact area, literally where this UFO had landed.
Mm-hmm.
He started telling me, he says, you know, Preston, I'm not sure if you're going to believe me, but I was in telepathic contact with it. I was wholly new to Bigfoot and did not know that this is absolutely consistently reported, people being in telepathic contact with these Bigfoot. And he says that it was frightening him because it was growling and screaming and roaring. And the Bigfoot was upset because he had like 4 dogs. And his dogs were going crazy. And Bigfoot and dogs don't always get along that well. So that was sort of a little bit of friction there. But he says it went on for a good 20 minutes or so. Finally, he felt it move off until he lost connection with it. Went out there the next morning, this was at night, and did find footprints. And, you know, it was pretty hard packed soil, sandy, so couldn't see a whole lot, but there was definitely some sort of creature there. And what's super interesting about this whole series of events is following this, he had a major poltergeist outbreak in his home. This was one of the first cases I ran across that really twisted my brain into a pretzel, trying to figure out what is the connection here between Bigfoot, UFOs, and paranormal, quote, activity. And that was the first of several like this. That, yeah, is probably one of my favorite.
What was the paranormal activity, if you don't mind me asking?
It was doors opening and closing, slamming, footsteps, lights going on and off, cold spots, which the whole range of what we would think of as a spirit.
Yeah.
I suspect it was more poltergeist. And I know we talked about this earlier in the show, an encounter. And this is true with Bigfoot as well. Can spark a whole swarm of other activity.
Yeah.
Because it wakes you up. If you're suddenly communicating telepathically, well, that ability is now ignited. And this opens the door for your other abilities.
Yeah.
And we see this near-death experiencers as well, or spirit contact. There's some people call it modalities. There's many pathways to enlightenment. And it's definitely one of them, and one can lead to a whole domino effect. This is kind of my latest assessment of what's going on.
The reason I asked you is anyway, you were going to say something, Beans. I'll skip that. Go ahead.
No, I was good. I just was thinking about your latest book. I haven't heard that much. I'm a big fan. I think I've watched like 90% of your videos. But yeah, you know, so I like to keep up with the Preston. I'm a Preston junkie.
Yeah.
But tell me about this new book. You know, that sounds really interesting. It's all kind of high strangeness.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to basically explore a few themes. The fact that there is a huge variety of ETs, but they're all humanoid. And these cases are, as I mentioned earlier, from across the world. There was one lady who actually married into a Native American family, was able to get that perspective because they have a deeper understanding in some respects, I think, of their relationship certainly to extraterrestrials. But yeah, all types of humanoids, from angels to demonic spirits. One guy saw an elf, not an ET as we would think of it, but earth spirits, I guess, tree spirits, you name it. Humanoids of all kinds, grays of all kinds, tall whites, human-looking ETs, mantids, blue beings. That was one of my favorite cases. Beyond just face-to-face humanoid encounters, I really wanted to embrace and explore the fact that ET contact is integrally connected to the paranormal.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of high
the reason I asked the reason I asked you what the paranormal activity was is because Sasquatch would come in and move stuff around and play with you and whatever. But what you described sounded like poltergeist or whatever, or classic
Well, I think it would do
spirit
the
kind of
same
thing.
thing because it's the same idea, a disembodied or an energy of a Sasquatch or an energy of a human or an ET that is
Yeah.
basically in ghost form. It's pretty
Yeah.
much the same
But no,
phenomenon.
it is. But what happened with me a lot is they'll take my keys or they'll move my keys or they'll do something harmless and something that's, they're not going to like slam the doors and do that kind of thing. They're just going to play little tricks on you.
ETs do that too. Sasquatch spirits will do that. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And the little people have been known to do that.
What? Well, I've often wondered, like we've got mantis beings, we've got like, this is what I've heard anyway, like when people talk about ant people and all these different beings that kind of look like animals that live on Earth. What's the connection there? Like ant people, mantis people, and a bunch of different ones, the lion people. I mean, I don't know if you believe in all those, but why? What's up with that? Why do they resemble animals that we know on Earth, or at least we associate with them, with them?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's fascinating to think that we have praying mantis insects. Wait, what? We have praying mantis humanoids?
Yeah, exactly. Lions and lion people, or ants and ant people. Why is that?
Well, I think it speaks back to the message that so many contactees get, is that we all share a common heritage. And Dolly, actually, we talk about this in the book Symmetry about her case, because she's been to other planets and seen other animals, which are very much like what we have here on Earth, with slight variations. But this is why we called the book Symmetry, because there's a symmetry to life throughout the universe. And once you understand that, it's really no surprise. Yeah, it's no surprise that these beings would reflect life on Earth. So you have all of this all over the universe. It's a really cool thing, actually. But profound implications, knowing that there are human-looking ETs out there. That was the thing that really made me start thinking about this.
Yeah,
like, because some look just like us.
When I saw myself as a praying mantis, I looked exactly like a giant praying mantis. You know how their limbs are or whatever? I could see me moving my limbs and they look like I look like a praying mantis.
So, yeah, well, you've woken up to this because all of us have past lives, what we think of as past lives. And for sure, it's not going to be all human because you would be missing out on all the different, ethnicities that you can explore and have a different
all the fun planets out there, man. You're going to hang out in one of them somewhere.
Yeah. So you must have been during your astral travels done what Dolly did and went to different planets and seen different beings. Did you not?
To a certain extent. I haven't really successfully gone to other planets. I always end up going to the higher realms, which is not, so much the third dimensional planetary environment. It's more of what I would call realms, or I guess that's the best way of putting it. Different levels of existence, and you can go higher.
Do they have like a ground and a sky, or is it just like floating around in a cloud?
In some of the lower realms, there is. It looks just like Earth. It really does. The higher you get, it's more amorphous and more energetic and almost indescribable. If you get real high up there, you start to move beyond form, as we would think of it, shapes. And it's almost impossible to describe because it's very much energetic. And you can absolutely go to places where you see a sky. I don't know that I've ever seen the sun going out of body onto the higher realms.
Okay, so when you're Preston, when you're traveling, is it just like you think you're there, you're in the other side, and you think I want to be in my friend's room, and you're just instantly there, or do you have to physically actually travel, or not physically, but your astral body travel there, or is it just instantaneous?
to get good at it, it's instantaneous. I went through a year or two of trial and error where I'd pop out of my body. And of course, I had to learn how to control my emotion and all of that, because that will pull you right back in. Staying out is not easy. You have to really learn how to meditate and control your emotions and your thoughts, because thoughts will rule. If you think of something, you will get pulled towards it. And that's absolutely how you travel. It's basically using the power of consciousness, and you will yourself to a distant location. And initially, often I would be just floating around at 5 miles an hour down the street, trying to get to my friend's house or a family member. I'm like, well, I'm not going to make it because I can only do this for 5 minutes, 10 at a time back then. I've now been able to extend that to an hour or two or even longer. But at some point, yeah, I mean, I went to visit Dolly once thinking maybe I can see where she's living and what life is like for her. I always do this with people, my friends and family. They never see me. I'm like a ghost. It's very frustrating. Dolly was in Florida. I was in California. And boom, I teleported there. I did this to Area 51 as well, because I heard about people going out of body to Area 51. My MO has always been, if they can do it, so can I.
Did you try that?
I did, and I made it. It was amazing.
Can you share anything?
Sure. Yeah, I did it twice, and I don't think I'll do it again because it ended up being somewhat, what I put it, disconcerting. First time I did it.
Do you think there was somebody that was aware of you there? Sorry, Preston. But
was aware of me? Well, that was my concern.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because, I read this article in Fate magazine. This is what prompted me to do it. Fate magazine wrote an article where they asked their readership to explore Area 51 by psychic means, whether it's out of body, remote viewing, intuitive impressions, and so forth. And they got a tremendous response from a bunch of people, which turned out to be, I think, exclusively women, if I remember correctly, or the ones who successfully did it, or certainly responded in their response article. And it was really interesting because it confirmed what a lot of the whistleblowers were saying about reverse engineering of craft, genetic engineering, and so forth.
Bodies, alien bodies?
Exactly. Yep. I thought, okay, I'm going to try this. If they can do it, so can I. So I popped out of body, and you always want to have a plan if you're doing astral travel, because it's very easy to slip back into a dream or into your body. But if you have an intention, if you're very focused, it's much like what I put it, walking a tightrope. Kind of, you really have to concentrate and focus and intend to do what you want to do. I popped out of body, and it took me a few moments to remember what's next on my bucket list, because you have a bucket list 100 things long at all times of things you want to do. I'm like, Area 51, let's do this. And I gave how I do it, because I learned, I would say, like, take me to Area 51, and it wouldn't happen. I'd be like, let's go to Area. Finally, I learned to just really put it in a way that's, I am going now to Area 51. We all have guides. I suspect guides are working closely with me, but I can do it myself kind of guy. Leave me alone. I want to try myself. So often I don't really have guides that are visible to me. I didn't then, but I did this weird kind of spiral, which I've come to recognize as indicative of an upcoming teleportation type travel, instead of like lazily going there. You can. I mean, you can go 5, 10 miles, 100 miles an hour. I zoomed down to San Diego one time. It must have been, 1,000 miles an hour, because it took me about a minute.
Yeah,
popped out at Area 51 and came down, and I recognized it from the pictures we have of the hangars and the huge flat plane. And I'm looking at it, and my first impression was, this is a lot bigger than I thought. Later, driving there, I certainly got a sense of that. Or actually, it may have been before that I drove there, but landing there out of body in the kind of the center of it, I realized, well, these hangars that they have are miles apart. And I saw some people there walking around in camo. And I was so overwhelmed. I'm like, wow, my friends are never going to believe this. My family, I know that they won't. So I've tried. But I'm like, okay, let's go inside. My first thought was, what if there are people in there? What if they have guards? This could be dangerous. What if I see ETs? How am I going to react? And I started to feel fear. I got pulled back. But, being ever curious, I did it again. And this time I did have a guide. There were other people with me out of body. And we were given a tour of an underground area. I have to tell you, the energy there was so dark, almost evil, that it was very hard for me to sustain even awareness. But I did. And it's like an underground mall. I mean, you know how big a mall is with stores? It's like a block wide or more. I mean, this thing was an underground building. Take the Empire State Building or whatever and turn it upside down. And underground, that's what it was like. We're going around the outside corridors. And they're like, this is what we want you to see. I'm like, oh no, this is not going to be good. Because you get impressions. You're very psychic when you're out of body. You know what's coming at you. And I knew this was not going to be good because they, I'd gotten that feeling. And we went into a room. It was brightly lit and it was big. And there was a human who was being used as slave labor and who had been born there and will die there and was a product of genetic experimentation to the point that he wasn't fully human. I mean, he was twisted, deformed in ways that I don't know what happened to him. That was intentional or not, but this guy was not well. And he was I get a little emotional talking about it.
Yeah.
It was very sad. I mean, it tore me up. I'm like, I need to go. I cannot know. I'm not doing this. I don't ever want to go back because this is torture. This is
what was he doing? What was he doing though? Did you observe him doing anything?
I didn't. It was, he was working. Okay. He was doing menial duties, type of thing. I couldn't tell you what it was, but it was just moving things around or maintaining things.
Yeah.
It wasn't like office work, and I didn't see him feeding animals or anything like this. I couldn't really tell you. I focused on his face and his body, his arms, which were very thin, stick-like limbs. It didn't look entirely human even, or if it was very badly deformed. Incredible genetic anomalies. His face, it was bad. Yeah. I just sensed incredible resignation and not so much depression, because I'm not sure that he even knew that there was another world out there. This was not what life is supposed to be. This was his life. And it tore me up. I don't even like talking about it because it was really sad. I was depressed coming back. I'm like, that really upset me to the point that our government, our secret government, is doing this. This is one of many, many reasons why I don't trust them. Not now, not in the past. I don't trust them in the future. They're lying right now. All these congressional hearings is very obviously contrived and propaganda and controlled, and it's not disclosure. They know what it is. They're lying when they say, oh, we don't have enough evidence. That's a lie. I don't believe it for 1 second. It's disingenuous. I'm very passionate about this. And that's
I think this is real important what you're saying here, because very few people have actually been in any form at all to these underground bases and lived to tell about it or even talked about it in public. And to tie that in with
it's dangerous. They can, trap you in your astral body and boom, you're dead.
Yeah.
And this, to tie it in with the dog man and the Sasquatches, there's been stories about them being taken to these underground bases and being experimented on, and humans by the thousands been taken and experimented on. I think that's probably one of the greatest evils of life on Earth.
This is where all the encounters that are negative, I think
Yeah.
honestly, that's the source of them. It's not ETs. It's my labs, military abductions.
I have a couple of questions to ask you about that, but on the disclosure thing, you know, I was thinking the other day, you know, disclosure is realized in the heart. Does that make sense? Disclosure, people talk about disclosure. Disclosure is in the heart.
Yeah. We don't need our governments to tell us what's true or not. True knowledge comes only from personal experience. Disclosure's already happened. How much evidence do you need? How many people need to see UFOs? How much footage? How many landing trace cases? How many healings? How many animal reactions and electromagnetic effects and implants and so forth do we need to know that this is a real phenomenon?
Yeah. And a couple of other questions I wanted to ask you about your out-of-body experiences. Now, I don't know if you consider this, you know, knowing you, being, you know, the thorough kind of guy you are, I bet you have. But, you know, we know that time is not linear, right? Every existence, every incarnation, whatever, is all being realized in the now. So when you do your astral travel, have you ever gone back in time? And is it possible?
Well, I can't be entirely sure because, you know.
But you know what I mean? It kind of makes sense that you might be able to.
Yeah, you definitely get a sense of time being a product of the third dimension when you go out of body. Because every time I would go out of body, almost every time, certainly not every time, but I would come back with precognition, have memories of future events that would occur usually that day, or sometimes the next day or a day later, but usually in the form of a precognitive dream or a vision. But it turned into clairvoyance at some point because I was perceiving future events.
What I mean, though, is that if you were in the astral body and you had the intention, say, of, you know, and this is morbid, mind granted, but you had the intention, hey, I want to find out who Jack the Ripper was. Could you theoretically go back there and do that?
Yeah, well, what I did, because, you know, I love shipwrecks and I'm very interested in that sort of thing, have been for a while. And from a little kid, I would read all the books on shipwrecks. And of course, that includes the Titanic. So one day I'm like, you know what? I would like to see that, which is morbid. But, you know, I was curious. Yeah. And so that's what I did. And I popped out of body and I'm on my way to the other side. And I said, you know, wait a second, Titanic. I'm going to the Titanic right now. And I ended up my direction changed and I'm going to this weird sort of in-between space.
Wow.
Is hard to describe, but it's like the veil between the worlds. And I've been there before, and you give a strange command or something like that. This is often what happens. You're pulled in a new area, in a new direction. And so I'm moving along, and there's lots of clouds around me everywhere. I'm just this tiny little speck in this huge, vast emptiness. I'm like, Titanic, 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 faster, 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 because I was starting to lose consciousness. This was early on in my astral adventures, and I could only sustain for 10 or 15 minutes. I was 7 minutes in, 8, then 10. I'm like, well, you know, I'm gonna wake up shortly here. I'm looking down at this immense cloud plain. I'm like, let's just go down there and see what's down there. I dived through it, and I ended up it looked like Africa to me, Africa in the antediluvian past. Giant fronds, ferns, and exotic looking plants. It looked like, I don't know, the African savanna or something. Of course, that's exactly what I'm trying to do, is orient myself in time and space. And I don't know where I am, but I feel like this is the distant past. This, you know, I don't know. Then I noticed movement right about 20 feet away from me. I looked, and it was a lion. And it was in pounced position. As soon as I saw it, it pounced, and it came right at me and wrapped its jaws around my neck. And I screamed and said, I'm going home. But waking up immediately after that, because I did not want to feel my head get ripped off by a lion. It's my perception that this was the memory of a past life and that had gone back in time and explored that. Maybe not gone back in time physically as we would think of it, but you can certainly revisit past events. I don't think necessarily you can change them. But yeah, that was probably the most dramatic example of that kind.
But you never did see the Titanic.
No, still on my bucket list.
One more thing. When you're doing, and then Mr. Beans is chomping at the bit.
I'm just saying it's getting.
Yeah. We're gonna wrap it up pretty soon. But this is interesting that I've had this on my mind for a bit since you mentioned it. So,
I mean, because it takes
when you're astral traveling,
a year to recover from every time he comes on our show.
When you're astral traveling, can somebody you're directing things, but can somebody unexpected drop in? Do you meet people that you don't expect?
Sure, it happens periodically, because you can intend to go a certain place or meet a certain person and do that quite successfully, but people absolutely drop in. I had a friend who died of alcoholism, and I was going to see him after he was in a hellish realm. I mean, it was dark and terrible. And I did a lot of praying for him and instructed my family and his friends, we need to help Roger. He's not in a good place. And I went to go find him after this to see if we had helped him at all. And I did. I found him. He was still in a lower realm, which are often very urban settings, as opposed to lots of nature and beautiful flowers and trees and streams. Very urban. This is my experience. And he was there. He's like, Preston, and he spoke to me in English, very much telepathically, but in words, which is unusual because often it's just a sense of knowing. And he said, thank you, Preston. Thanks for all the love bombs. I was sending love his way to help lift him out of his despair. And I was trying to get closer to him because there was a barrier between us. That happens often. There's tunnels and walls and barriers when you're astral projecting. And I was just about to get to him when this guy appeared, and he was a hostile entity if I've ever seen one, and manifested a car, which you can do. You can manifest anything you want on certain levels. And the guy tried to run me over. Like, dude, wow. What do you think you're doing? Because, I can levitate on the astral planes pretty easily. Some people don't realize they're there and they can't levitate, and I've taught them how to do it. I'm like, listen, you just will yourself up. But I was good at it. So he, missed me. I came down and I looked at him and he tried again. And he's running at me from every darn direction, trying to get me away from my friend. And after about 5 minutes of just being chased around by this guy, who was a real a-hole. I'm sorry, but he was just a malevolent person. I'm like, that's it. I can't deal with this guy anymore. I'm just going to leave. I've had that sort of experience a number of times.
He was just messing with you because he wanted to keep your friend in agony? Or
I don't know what his deal was. But one time I did pop out. I'm just exploring the house. This is in Reseda, Southern California. Went through the front door just to look at my street. And there was 3 guys walking down the street right in front of my house. You can instantly recognize when someone's an earthbound spirit. They have this certain dark energy about them, an aura. These guys were thugs. I mean, these guys were honest to God murderers. And they looked at me and we locked gazes. And they're about maybe 40 feet away, and then 30, and then 20. I'm like, oh, they're coming right up for me. And in the books you read about this, they say, just project love, white light. I wasn't ready for that. Since then, I've been able to do that more successfully, but at that point, I just fled right back to my body. I've occasionally met hostile spirits.
Yeah. Well, Preston, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming by. I got a feeling we could talk all day, but probably we should wrap it up. But do you want to? And we'd love to
Go
have
to
you back on.
Preston's channel. It's Preston Dennett on YouTube, and from there you get all the links to all of the stuff that he's doing. And
I'm going to put them in the video too. I'm going to put all your links in the video. You want all the ones that you sent me in the video, or just?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if there's room, yeah, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely, there's room. So, is there anything you wanted to say in closing? And once again, we enjoyed having you, and just an amazing conversation as always.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to say thanks. I really appreciate you having me on the show, and I'd also say, in terms of astral projection and astral travel, give it a try. Don't believe me. Do it yourself. It's not hard. It's a natural human talent. All it takes is a little effort. The only obstacle is fear, skepticism, and laziness.
Yeah.
Tackle those three, buckle down, do the exercises. There's a lot of literature on this. I have my own book on it. I have.
You do?
I do.
You do? You have a YouTube video on how to astral project?
I sure do. Yeah. All my own experiences.
That I definitely want to see. Like I don't even really meditate well. So, but anyway, I would like to be able to do it.
You know, you can do it for 5 minutes a night. It's a great way to start.
Okay.
And that's what I did, kind of, 5 or 10 or 15. But after it worked, I started doing it an hour a day.
Wow.
To do it,
I mean,
like, wow, this is an amazing new world to discover. So yeah, give it a try. And you'll thank me later because it will absolutely change your life.
So, did you want to send me the link for the? Can you send me the link in our messenger, and I will put the astral projection video on our video too for people to look at that specifically, and your YouTube channel.
Yeah,
I think I've got your YouTube channel. I
have the YouTube channel, but I can send you the link to that.
That one specific. Yeah.
I'll do that right after we are done here.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Preston. Unless you had something else that was on your heart you wanted to share, we can thank you and thank everybody for watching and wrap her up, I guess.
Yeah, well, that was it. So yeah, again,
that was it.
That's what I wanted to say.
Okay, my friend. By the way, next year, do you want to come up to BC and join me at my campout?
BC being British Columbia?
Yeah, I have a Sasquatch campout every year, and it's always amazing. And I'd love to have you up here.
Oh, wow. Well, I'll certainly consider it. I can't obviously promise at this moment, but yeah, keep me in the loop, and we'll see what I can do.
Yeah, well, that was where that voice was recorded that we heard, and a bunch of other stuff happened. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to have you come up here and visit. Maybe you can pick Mr. Beans up on the way. Where you live?
He's in California.
Right now, yeah, I'm in northern Georgia, the Blue Ridge Mountains.
No kid.
Okay.
You're close to me then. I'm in Savannah.
Wow.
See, you guys should come up together.
Really close. It's actually 6 or 7 hours away because there's no straight roads in Georgia.
Yeah,
road trip, guys.
My UFO, and we'll pick you up that way. So
I'm down for that. I saw a couple of UFOs since I've been here in Georgia, so they're here.
Georgia's got a long history of it.
Yeah. Anyway, I found it, and I'm not going to keep going on, trust me, but I found it really interesting that your Dolly said that language that we were hearing was Nordic. That's extremely interesting. I'd like to talk more about her, or more about that with her. I'm talking about the Sasquatch recording that we got at the
right.
At the gathering.
I've heard quite a bit about them being able to speak a language.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So.
Yeah. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much, Preston. We'll have you on again, maybe once a year or something, and we'll be in contact. And it's always a pleasure talking to you, my friend. You're a wealth of knowledge, and you're just a friendly, nice guy. So.
Shucks. The same way about you.
Awesome. Okay, everybody. Thanks for watching. On behalf of Port Cunningham and the world's handsomest man, Frank Oliver Beans, this has been the Pork and Beans Show. Thank you to Dolly. I was going to say Parton. What is Dolly? Dolly what? Safran, and Preston Dennett. So thank you very much. And we love you guys, and we will see you all next time. Bye for now. That was cool. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
We're off the air now.
All right. Well, I'm going to take off because I need to go to the restroom.
Yeah, but I will send you it's a whole year away. I'll send you the information though, and maybe if you can come, we'd love to have you. It's it's a spiritual gathering. You'll appreciate it if you make it.
Very cool.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Right.